Now, positivity can only get you so far, but having positive results is the most important thing. And maybe I hit you with that sad, cold dose of realism. Furia have a very good record on this map demo.
I mean, Furia's got a good record on all the maps.
Okay, yeah, fine. But this one especially, it's what, however many times they've been able to sort of get themselves in here. It's, I think they said, what, a 7-1 recent record. Daystar, it's just a shorter period of time, but how do you approach a strong first map like this against a team like Furia?
Well, from what we kind of know about Furia is they can play every style of Siege. And yesterday, whenever we seen Furia in action up against Elevate, Elevate kind of went with the approach of, let's go at them hard in the beginning, let's open up with some really aggressive gunplay, and let's throw them off their game.
Yeah.
But Furia very quickly adapted to that playstyle. And I think that is the main concern whenever you're up against Furia, whenever you're trying to prep for this team. You can't really prep for them because they can do everything. The multitude of strats that they have for every different bomb site in the game is incredible. I think that's the main concern that a lot of teams have against Furia. You can't prep for them. You just don't know what they're going to do because they can do everything.
10 seconds
Well,
left
what they
before
can't do, at least this time round, is run a Monty or a Ying as our bands come together. Double limitation on electrics, so you will potentially see some mirror usage to slow down certain walls. Steel's going to open up with the Clash instead. Maybe try and buy some time, slow them on towards Ops and work. It's a bit of a malleable defense. You've got the Echo drone, get yourself some read on intel, and obviously things like smoke to slow down Green.
Yeah, I can only assume that we're going to be seeing a blow take as well from Furia. You've brought Buck in from KZ, and Buck, I mean, this is a top floor bomb site, so in terms of the vertical destruction from above, that doesn't exist, but you can still do the same from below. So I think being able to get the Buck in and clearing out strong positions, you think about in behind the desk inside of Office, that's obviously an area that teams like to try and pressure in towards. Even if you want to try and go for the kind of storage, clearing out the storage player is great. And even look at where this Clash is. Again, what are they standing on? Vertical destruction below.
Well, this is the problem, right? As I said, the Clash is going to try and hold on towards Ops. They've already got the breach to the site, but it's just sort of an open room breach. You won't hop in on that. It's too dangerous. They're baiting out utility on the Battle of the Clash shield and just sort of deploying and pulling back and deploying and pulling back. The Buck, in the meantime, wants to get themselves in underneath, but a lot of them stacked here. 3 ready to wrest control of Ops away.
Yeah, I think Clash kind of has an idea that there may be a bit of util coming towards them, so backs up. I believe that there is also a roamer downstairs that perhaps KZ will have to deal with, but never mind. Gonna be the rotate up in towards Skybridge now. But I mean, look, half the round gone. What if Fury really gain control of just their Ops at the moment? And nobody's died in Daystar, which I think's key.
I think this is it. There's the Echo that's sort of luring them around the corner. Herds is going toe-to-toe with the Clash themselves, but there's no other support outside of an Echo drone just causing some problems. And again, 4 players from the side of Furia stacked up on towards Ops. At this point, with a minute 10, you're thinking, okay, where's ARC pressure? Where's Green pressure? Where's the vertical pressure coming from the Buck? It's in some ways a bit slow. I think they're being very direct with it, but the Clash is sort of back and forth, and you can see Daystar, they're kind of wanting a fight. Souffle's still active. There goes the Clash, and now it should be an activation on the side, but the Kanzu gets rid of the Buck, gets rid of that slightly looser player. So now you're seeing that they're actually going spread out far. JV92 is trying to take the back walkway as the pressure comes on towards the door of the site itself. The Clash still causing some problems, and the smoke will slow things down. 40 seconds, and you've obviously still got at least 1 smoke canister, but everything in that Capital's pockets. The Philippox is going to start popping as Hazuki and Joe get 2 of their own. Now it's Herds at least trying to balance back. We know what he's capable of, but he's almost taken out of the equation as the fight happens at the bottom of the main stairs. Joe gets 1, Nate gets 1 more, and it is just Nade left. 20 seconds in a 2 versus 1. As I said before, it just felt like they were a little bit slow to activate, and as they enter into a crossfire to potentially end this round, well, quick to end.
Good, solid hold from Daystar, and the one thing that I want to know is the value that the Clash shield was able to get with the Clash being dead. If you don't know, even if Clash dies, as long as the shield is set up and she's pressed that button to make the taser go, it will constantly keep going after she's dead. And that was the struggle that they had whenever they were pushing in towards Mezzanine. You had that constant shock effect, and then you combo that with the smoke, and there's just nothing happening for Furia. Look, I think they really struggled with the util was placed up. They had nothing left to remove that clash shield because they used their last Flores drone to remove the deployable shield where the Echo was. So I think for Furia, maybe they have to look at bringing in a bit more utility. I mean, they didn't have any nades. That would have helped out a lot. But Daystar, just using the util at their disposal. Good time management, using the smokes early just to relieve that bit of pressure, stop Furia on the approach. I like it. Good stuff.
10 seconds.
Pace is something that can be learned and can be ticked into. First round, first game of the day, and Furia is first on the attack. It's always going to be something that gets you a little bit more teething. Obviously, I love and I talked about it, and the sort of movement from Daystar, right? As I said, they were active. They were looking for a fight. They weren't just sitting, letting Furia set up. They weren't giving them these engagements. You don't want to give herds of 1 versus 1 if you can help it. But you want to make sure that he doesn't expect when it's going to come. You could see Souffle being active. You could see the swing down, rocket stairs. You could see these elements of Daystar going, look, we need to make sure that we can almost be that sort of syncopated rhythm to the music Furia wishes to play. Talking of, there was a couple of pings, but he peeled away before a fight might have happened. But Seal is currently just sat, waiting, hoping that this position goes unchecked.
Yeah, really loose roam, you can see from Daystar. They're not interested in fortifying any of the mid-floor. Just a couple of roamers up there hoping that they can try and get active. But look at this take, though, from Furia. Horizontal is what they're after. Maybe realizing that there are opportunities just to walk in and pick up some freebies on the players in sight. So now there has to be a big trade game or else they're going to get caught out. But look at this from Furia. They're always beside each other. If you kill one, you know there's going to be 2 more coming.
And now the site is pretty much empty. Seal has to rotate his way back down. Souffle has to do the same, but they can just sort of watch outwards. They get one and miss the second. Souffle, they slip away and they just keep going because now they know there's only 1 person on site. They're just going to push behind the Blackbeard and drive themselves in. There's the easy pickup, and that leaves a loose player. Again, they know he's above. They know they can plant. They know they just have to keep away from the hatches, which they're doing, and they can just watch outwards. That communication you said. Furia, they keep themselves tightly packed together so they can make sure they operate as a team. Maybe 92 a little bit slow to react to that, but Philippox, he brought a friend.
Pretty easy for Furia. Just for the horizontal take, and that's always the worry, though, with that bomb site, is there's so many different ways in, and if you're a little bit light, and especially if you lose that first engagement, which they did, it's very difficult to try and get yourself back into a position where you can reclaim that bomb site. You know, yes, the hatch is open upstairs for the roamers to get back, but that hatch doesn't really help you if they're pushing in from Toxin side. It doesn't cover that, so really null and void. And I like the way that also that Fury kind of left just 1 guy upstairs just to try and catch the roamers if they try and come back to it, you know? But I think it's surprising as well, like they're holding above and, you know, there aren't many verticals too. You know, I think that's what, well, I suppose it's team preference. You know, some teams will make verts if they really want to try and hold above.
Yeah,
It was going to be pretty loose. We knew they were going to fall back if they needed to. Really, what did they have? A mirror window, and that's it. It's not as though you're looking at the kind of Azami kind of setups with the ADSs and stuff that you would see up there where teams are really fighting for it. I think that's where you get caught out. You know, you couldn't really get into the game if you were a roamer there because maybe the setup was lacking that little bit of vert to put the pressure on the attackers.
It was a very hot pace as well, right? And probably seeing the lack of verts went, oh, well, we could just drive right in. We know what was slow about us before. Let's just put the pressure on the site. It was a big sort of back and forth engagement as they took control of, you know, just inside warehouse, toes on towards the site. Then from that point onwards, they had the control and they had the man advantage. Here, keeping the site rotate, and as I said, without the electrics, Mirror can be that problem causer for those breaches, make them a little bit awkward, get the impact trick if you can pull it off, but they haven't gone for it.
Yeah, that's surprising. You went for the mirror trick, but no impacts to deal with it. Because you can impact from if you've got a player above in the vertical, which we know they're always going to be in. And you know what was quite the mirror window?
Yeah, that was half of a trick. It's like they say, I've put the rabbit in the hat, and then they just leave. And it's unfortunately a very poorly rated show.
Look at the pause that he's in, though. He's not leaving. He's aggro close in the breach. I mean, this is high risk, high reward. We know so, because if he gets droned, he's a gunner. But if he doesn't, could get a kill. Wow.
Oh, he got a kill! Just walked out the breach and swung on towards herds. And as you said it, if you don't expect it, you can make the unexpected happen. Now this is an expected position. He's being cooked out. There's all the pressure in the world on that man on green stairs, but he's been able to actually slip away. Survived, and then second. Oh, it's a third! Retaking the pressure underneath, and they sort of, you know, flirted with the idea. Come get him. And in the same way traps were laid on the previous round, Daystar, they've got a different trick of their own.
Just swinging, aren't they? I mean, they're really catching Furia by surprise. And look at the operators that they've lost. You've lost the Dokkaebi, so trying to clear those rooms upstairs could be a bit of an issue. But more importantly, you've lost that sense. And that operator, we know, is a necessity if you want to get a plant down in this bomb site. But I think trying to get a plant down is probably least of their worries because they're in 2v5.
A little bit of silence. Not for very long. Souffle in an aggressive position again. And it's 5 versus 1 here. And they'll probably have an idea of where JV92 is. But again, you're attacking this site. They still have utility. You've got verticality. You don't have a kit. They would have to hand him this round on a silver platter and say, sorry, we thought you should have this one in the end. But they're not going to do that. Instead, they keep traded rounds. And they are now 2-1 back in the lead.
Good stuff, and I mean, Daystar, they're vibing right now. Things are going well. I think for Furia, I mean, we have seen before where Furia, they've called an early timeout just to change the game plan. We've seen that yesterday whenever they were up against Elevate. So I'm curious to see if Igor might go for it or just going to hold on for a little bit while longer. I mean, I don't think it's rocket science, really, what Furia need to do to kind of make these rounds a little bit more comfortable for themselves. No. Just expect the unexpected is probably the best thing. Expect the Mira running out of the main breach.
Yeah, expect some chaos, right? And I think that's maybe where the element of the middle round worked so well for them, is that they were just a tightly packed unit. They had one player above. The rest of them were just driving as a team. At least if the unexpected happens, you have trade game. Yeah. You have. Who was in a position to trade a man who runs outside a breach? Nobody.
Well, that's the thing. We see this tons of times throughout the course of Siege. The team which is not expected to win against a big team who is expected to win, typically the smaller team will just remove their brain. And that is pretty scary to deal with whenever you are trying to play a structured playstyle where we know Furia can play that.
Yep.
And whenever you're against a team who's doing stuff that they have no right doing at all, and it's starting to work against you, thinking, right, hang on a minute. And you almost have to treat it, let's be honest, like a ranked game in that sense.
Yeah, you have to sort of throw yourself in, and, you know, again, it takes a bit of time to wake up, but it's always been the thing about the sort of APAC region as a whole and as a wider unit throughout the history of Siege, as we've said many times, their gunners can gun. That wasn't the thing that slowed them down. That was the thing that terrified other regions about this, was that they always know that chances are that they'll be in a firefight and might get outshot.
It's like a football player who's played football all their life in all these different regions, and they went to Australia, now they're playing Aussie rules. That's what APAC is like.
Now, there is a little bit more on towards this game. I think it was highlights on the desk, but if it wasn't, or it was, either way, I'm repeating it. Furia, if they can win this series, they will secure themselves top 2 within the group itself, get themselves locked in. Daystar, you obviously have to play Falcons tomorrow for the upper bracket.
It's only Falcons.
Only Falcons. If they get the win today, they won't have to beat Falcons tomorrow, and they can still get top 3. Neither team is the one where you go, this is the must-win, because, well, it's Furia and Falcons. You're not really, you know, pick your method of execution.
How?
Okay, there is one back, but instantly traded out. And think about the site. Think about where we're supposed to be. And think about what has just happened and who is dead. No Buck, no Glaz, no Lion for the trade of your Pekanzua's army. And you're approaching bottom green?
It's just poor. It's sloppy play from Furia. It's a guy on green stairs, you've droned him out. Why are the 2 players below not waiting until a Blackbeard's in position? Would that not make the more logical choice?
Well, it's Nade and Herds now. As you said, the Blackbeard, they're quite spread out. They do have the main breach open, and Nade's just going to try and walk in with Herds doubling up. Souffle covered by the smoke, but that will force Nade out. Azuki's going for the cross peek. He might get caught, but Asil gets one more. Well, they know Nade is the last one. He's got someone behind him on Skybridge that gets caught by a grenade.
Oh, hang on.
And there's Soufflé, 2 versus 1.
Hold the phone.
40 seconds, that's the last smoke canister. Instead of... Oh, actually, I was going to say he's baiting the audio. And you can see Joe and Seal, they're just making sure that they're still in communication. They're keeping an eye on either side, and they're actually going to pull back.
Yeah, good rotate.
So now they have themselves a bit further away. They're not giving him the isolated fight. If he wants to try and take the engagement, he has to drive a bit deeper, but look at the swing position. As soon as contact is made on one, they'll go for it. There's the first plant of audio. And with 10 seconds, are they going to move in? There's the swing, there's the bait, there's the push and the pressure. There's one! Nade! He's looking for his fourth. He's only got a pocket full of seconds, but Seal saves the day! There's always the possibility. Great players do great things. And Furia, some of the greatest.
Oh, not a bad attempt from Nade, not bad at all. However, good rotate though from Daystar that we've seen in that 1v2. The Tabaro pulls themselves back.
Escuta,
Plays
vocês
kind
estão
of
falando
safe.
sobre o drone, só que a gente não tá melhorando. A gente falou do drone, a gente tá perdendo 4 drones. Esquece a gente ficar execando, ficar do lado de fora ali, dronando, coisa e tal, porque eles estão fazendo isso já o jogo inteiro, a gente tá tomando. Então vamos jogar um pouco mais pra pegar kill. Vamos usar melhor os nossos drones, nem que vocês mudem eles um pouco, deixem um pouco mais recuado, mas vamos ter informação, porque senão a gente não sabe de nada que os caras estão fazendo, tá ligado? A gente tá jogando um monte de ideia ao invés de simplificar o jogo. A gente vai ter mergulho e beliche agora. Vamos fazer uma patinha, a gente tendo os drones, vamos ter drone saguão, vamos ter drone pra maca, vamos ter um drone ali no comando, recuadinho, pode deixar lá fora, mas a gente vai ter informação, a gente só abre o bomba e joga. E vamos começar a punir eles, a gente vira isso aqui 3-3, a gente recupera a confiança e fica mais simples pra gente jogar.
Does he know to breathe?
Doesn't need
I don't
to.
think he took a gasp at all
Yeah,
during that
like-
segment.
It was like how like musicians do like circular breathing so they can keep playing the trumpet.
The lungs on that.
I know. I mean, that Nade, great player, obviously. We talked about this when we cast Fury yesterday. When you have that backline of Nade and Fleepox, I mean, the amount of times that they are still that sort of end boss.
Yeah, round's
right?
not over.
Yeah,
if they're alive.
round is never over. And it got closer than it should. It was obviously a 4 versus 2 to, I think, a 4 versus 1. To then, well, where it ended up. But 3-1 Furia. They've taken their time out. They're trying to get themselves at least the even half here
5 seconds
before
to
they
insertion.
obviously head over on towards the other side. And I guess it's the sort of split here of this team compared to when you and I cast them yesterday. They're a lot more low energy, I think, Furia. They're not quite as snappy into the engagements.
I will say though, the timeout usually good for them.
Yep.
That gets them back up and going again. So for Furia, timeout from Igor typically will bear pretty good reward. Never mind.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Hey, we also talked about this in the game yesterday as well. If they take a timeout, sometimes do something crazy and you can try and shake the nest.
But the issue is they've been doing crazy stuff all game.
Yeah, that's true.
Surely that
that's-
would have been what Igor told them.
That's true. Well, they got rid of the buck and they got rid of herds. But, as we said, for Leapox, that back line always reliable. Now they have cams.
Yeah.
Now they have all that intel. It's potentially inside the site itself. They can get the read and then get the idea of just where they need to go and why they need to go there. The balls are coming from inside the robot. They're just going to try and find at least the slow, but you can see they're still active, right? They're still trying to hunt down the potential engagement.
Cover me.
Maybe the intel drive, maybe the combination now. Look at the tracks that they have here, Demo.
I mean, there's 3 players off site currently, so
Yeah.
they're not going to just give it away.
But with the operator selection, maybe this was the conversation. You've got your Deimos, you've got your Lion, you've got your Dokkaebi, you've got everything you can to hunt down these players. Instead of hitting the site, they're going to try and hit these loose moments and get a man advantage. And, well, he's baiting out, but support is coming around from the side of green. They will expect it. Oh, no! Not well enough! Nade caught out by Soufflé. Now it's a 2 versus 1, and Seal pushes on and gets that player! They've led them into a trap and played it perfectly, but a Deimos gets one on the swing, looks for the second. It's a closer fight than he expects, and he's just going to slip away, but he's got support of his own. Hit the pipe. The grenade will force even further motion, but it's Suzuki has the cover on towards JV92, and KZ, a 1 versus 3 all alone. He has the kit far and far away. And a timeout, you say it can be successful. Same can be said for Daystar.
to try and isolate some of these 1v1s, and no, can't even get the guy who he's tracking. I mean, this is, if you're Furia, this is worrying. And they almost look a bit
Stunned.
They do.
Bewildered.
Frazzled.
Oh, hit the frazzled comp. I mean, because how do you counter this? They just tried to counter it in the strongest way possible. Yeah, they're playing.
I think you need the shields back in. I think you need that little bit of control. I think that needs to be the play here, I think, for Furia to give themselves a way in. But also, I genuinely think that their drone work is really poor today.
Yeah.
There is a lot of moments where they drone one guy, but they don't bother to see if there's maybe anyone else lurking around. How many times have we seen one of the Daystar players be under pressure by two people, he gets challenged on, and then there's a teammate for Daystar waiting in the wings, ready for that crossfire?
On to Bunks. On now towards Bunks. Now, there is this statistic, obviously, when we get close towards the turn of the half. You talk about how these two teams handle either half. And over the recent play from the side of Daystar, the 2-0 that they have, they're about 70% either side, right? The thing is, Furia are pretty much the same over the recent 8 times they have played this, with their 7-1 victory. And their attack is just that little bit better. So they do have more in the canister. They do have more in their defense. It's not that they're a million miles away. It's not that they're going to get and be like, oh no, we needed this many. Because technically on a 70% either side, well, you're 70% either side. However, as you said, they need the shield back. They've brought it. They've brought nothing to mess around with breaching. Habana alongside the Thermite, so no more swinging out the breaches. Maybe be a bit more aware of this. In exchange, we've got the Tiburat. We've got things to slow down some of these breaches. With the castle alongside it almost is sort of building a bit of a bastion. They're trying to make things a little bit more intense. Herds and Azuki are having a little bit of attention underneath. In fact, no, yeah, Herds is above and it's KZ underneath even. The Blackbeard trying to thread the needle here across the back end of Souffle. They're looking for these engagements, but they're not fully getting the taste of them. They can peel back and pull back. KZ's driven his way up the stairs, and now they've got themselves some attention on towards Art. You called for a shield, and a shield is making sure that they check every corner, check every presence. The drone game might have been missing, but when your drone is a person, it's a little bit more confident to have it backed. But Nade, first shake against him, the second swings round, can't connect. Cannot find that fight right now, Demo.
Still think they're in a good spot, though. They've been able to take in towards Mez. Now they're making their way over towards Art. They've opened up in towards our 6 room now. So in terms of clearing out these players above, I think they're in good shape to do so, but they still need to follow up with the kills. And almost Joe gets taken down, but Herds is still alive, and he's just waiting for that moment to move in there and use that R4C, but gonna be back that shield, like I mentioned. I mean, KZ can just kind of jiggle, peek the door, and gain a lot of info right now.
Still slowing down this vertical control. Obviously, it's a very important part to get. Remember where the site is, but you need to stop it, and KZ gets the swing onto Souffle. There was a second, and the C4 is the punctuation on the fight, but can they find one more? There's obviously the down. There's the cross. And here, with only 2 players still currently standing, and Vertical falling away with 40 seconds, Furia should be able to push this one into their place. But there is a recollection, and now Joe in an off-piste position, waiting and hiding, could be massive if he goes unchecked. Oh, he did! There's one, there's 2, Joe! And he's just gonna tuck in 20 seconds. Suzuki finds one of his own. There's not even the revenge demo. There is just Daystar 5-1 Furia.
Joe, what a slippy play. My word, and it kind of just sums up the half for Furia. They're missing so much. Just rotates from upstairs towards exit door, just stands there. Furia missing so many steps, and Daystar are just punishing them. But honestly, the way that Daystar are playing, it's just so chaotic. There's no structure to it. It's like they've just got a shotgun, and it's just went everywhere. And where's it hit? We don't know.
It's the turn of the half. This is where I think chaos can sometimes be reined in. When you're on your attack, you get a bit of space, you get a little bit of energy. You can be the big problem on your defense because, well, they have the pressure of time. They have to check everything. This into this is just... And then obviously, one more. I mean...
Make that happen.
I would be exactly the same. I do that in ranked.
I love that reaction. It's like, whoa.
Whoa. Damn, you did that. I mean, 5-1. But as I said, you know, if you're looking at this, Furia, they can play a great defense. The problem of those sort of corner hiding positions is there's no reason Furia is just going to be drifting past your new defense in that sort of situation, right? You have to try and find a way to make that chaos work on your attack. It's not easy. And then say Furia get this first, 5-2, becomes potentially 5-3, and then it's a much closer game. And some of that energy is removed. But with all that they've got here, the ops take is probably going to be a bit of a nightmare demo. The smoke and the Tachanka.
Yeah, this is the issue with going for electrification bans is you do leave yourself open to the denial operators, and that is mostly your smoke and your Tachanka. And we know the long angles that you can get on towards the default plant position, that blind spot over towards office. Joe, using the glass, is going to rip his way through those concrete barriers right now, but Erd's going to prone and stay as safe as he can. Felipox is with him behind a deployable shield. Also with the Shimika very early on. Them using the Tachanka as still burning time, but in the early stage of the round rather than the latter.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is even with the utility, the ops take is going to be tricky. But here, I mean, they've obviously put a lot of attention in. They're trying to get a barbed wire, and they're Shimika-ing it off. They've got the keepers on the windows. At this point, are you thinking, okay, do we maybe peel back? They push themselves back in. They're looking for the engagement, and they find the Acers, giving them a taste of their own medicine and saying we can swing out on defense as well. Felipox, he's finding a fight and gets caught. Okay, that's your Tachanka gone, and now they leave. Pull back. It's been a weird trade of what they've got, but that's the hard breach demo.
Oh, the glass. Oh, just barely misses. He's seen the yellow figure run away. No, not gonna happen. Again, I think that's always the worst, isn't it? You know, you have the scope and you could just see that glimmer of yellow move across and you just think, I've missed my opportunity, but still there are smokes still on the side of Daystar. However, it does come in the form of a Twitch shotgun, may I add. What's he gonna do with that?
Something creative. There's also the idea, obviously, with all that shield position and everything they had against that, they didn't use the Flores that I saw. Instead, Flores was busy doing other work, and here's where I said there might be more of a take! The French shotgun pops! At the same second, there's JV92 getting soufflé. The smokes go in, so does Jaw! Oh, he's able to get hers on the back, but he can't quite find KZ at 2 versus 1! His steal is suddenly all that's left. Now they know exactly where he is. He's been rounded upon, and KZ puts it to bed, but they're still just trying, swinging everything. A French shotgun kill. Le Magnifique.
Oh, the way I mentioned the French shotgun and he just runs up and gets the kill on the guy in storage. Oh, dear. I mean, look, I think the early kind of slowdown there for Furia inside of Ops helped them out a lot with the time management. And of course, you think about that first kill, it was the ace.
Yeah.
Big operator to take down right from the get-go. You were able to burn a lot of the smokes too from the glass. So overall, a bad hold from Furia. They do just about get it in time. I mean, that kill, very important, using the Azami and this. My word. But still, tricky for them. 1v2. Gets them back into the game. Still a long way to go yet. Daystar, that's the top floor that they know they don't have to worry about for a while. We head into our basement now, and you see the hold here from Furia extending in towards that top floor.
5 seconds.
You can only imagine that they're maybe also going to use those echo drones in combination with those roamers. I mean, he has 3 of them now, so you can utilize them. If you want to use 2 of them up above, you can.
Yeah, they have to be that sort of active support line. In terms of the lineup as well, it's a big sort of swap round from the side here of Daystar. They've got themselves the Monty to try and drive in. They've got obviously the idea on the verticality, but only pocket hard breaches.
Yeah, I mean, they have the RAM, so you would imagine that they're going to try and go above and use the vertical game, but then you have to go up against that hold from Furia. And you look at the split. You've more or less got 3 players. I mean, Nade can at any time try and rotate up the staircase and assist if needed. I believe that actually JV's actually came back downstairs, so at the moment it is just Philippox above. But I'm sure the Echo drones won't be too far away from him.
No, they can obviously filter the information. There's a couple of staircases to get themselves back in and back towards it. There's not like a singular route you can get caught off from. There's actually going to be some external droning. Nade just making sure that, yeah, it's Phantom Pressure. They're probably going to rebuild that door. Just get that relocked again. You can sort of change the battlefield, change it back if they suddenly need to have a quick break at the end. Well, they're in on towards Warehouse. There is, obviously, at least one close player, and it's maybe somebody the Monty doesn't want to singularly toe-to-toe with. KZ already laid the Grismots. Try and throw a barbed wire, but Seal is this cover. Now, this is a bit risky. If the Ram loses this fight and they haven't done the verticality, well, then that is that again, the same problem. You've lost your ace before. The Monty is trying to get the width to go for the ping. We can see some Boogie drone has worked its way, and they've actually rotated their way around. But Picantu gets Philippox in the meantime. That's that Roma. Joe goes down, though. They've lost the Monty to JV92. 2 very particular deaths in 2 very, very different places.
Yeah, but you look where Daystar are. They are above. They can now start making all of the vertical work. Get the hatch open too with the 10 openers. In terms of Fury and what util they have, I'm sure the Goyos are still placed somewhere to have a bit of an impact, but minute left. With no Monty, does leave them thinking, okay, we don't have that shield. Who's going to be the first man in to really start pressuring these defenders? And look, they still have the Grim. They still got some form of util. And as I say, they still have the Grim. No longer.
Yeah, I was sort of waiting for that. Obviously, they put the heavy pressure in, but it feels like, as I said before, that playstyle of just finding fights, it doesn't always translate on towards your attack because they're trying that, but they're having to hit themselves against held positions. And while they're ready for it, look at that, just swung around right into a Fenrir. They get the trade out, but they have the man advantage. It's a game Furia can play right now because, well, they've got an extra body. They also still have an Echo on the board. So they don't even have the kit to try and make the plant happen before the plant can even be stopped by an Echo. They've got to fight their way into Warehouse. KZ gets 1. You know where the last person is, and as I said it before, a 5-1 can become a 5-2 and can become a 5-3. Furia stronger and stronger over these past 2 rounds. And at what point, Daystar, do you hit the let's have a talk about this button?
Yeah, good point. Again, it's always, you know, coach preference, isn't it? You know, when mostly the way that we kind of see the timeouts are.
听得到吗？我们现在都输一些个人的细节，但我觉得没关系。我们大方向前期的大方向其实都做得很对，我们要捞的头都捞到，对不对？很好。那现在我们要做一件事，就是我们换角，我们换个 Dokkaebi 出来，让我们中后期比较好受。我们车可以慢慢用，我们可以砸资源在我们的前中期，慢慢来没关系。但我们就是靠 Dokkaebi 打后期 ，alright？ 或是你们的车，中期的时候要用好，摆深一点之类的 ，got it？OK， 好不好？我们的配置都不错，继续维持，然后注意自己的细节，好不好？不要太过照镜，好不好？听一下队友在讲什么，那小目标抠出来，然后需不需要5人去打，打一些小执行也讲出来 ，OK？OK，That's it，Let's go。Hey.
We had a couple of extra seconds if we wanted to use them, but
Dokkaebi was mentioned.
Dokkaebi was mentioned.
Oh,
it's always the thing, like whether, you know, they're speaking any language that we don't understand, the operator names are the same. So we can get that. We got Dokkaebi mentioned. And as you can see, Dokkaebi is currently in the hands of Joe. They're just maybe going to try and give themselves something before the push. Potentially you're looking at the combination with the Grim. Because think about the couple of takes there, swinging angles and just getting caught out.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, the timeout obviously going to be used as a circuit breaker. You know, just to kind of kill the momentum, if you can, of Furia. But then also, of course, benefit yourself and try and get a quick fix. And, you know, they mentioned about that Dokkaebi. And you look at the lineup, don't see the Dokkaebi. There's a lot of talk about Dokkaebi and not there.
No, and a lot of talk about Grim and using that to swing on it. Not there. Instead, they're going to go for a traditional take here. You've got the sense. Try and get those roly-poly light walls out. Go for the cheeky plant. The problem is there's just soulless. So as we have seen the past couple of rounds, Daystar have brought a very important operator for a take, and then the first person to die.
Look, you have the Blitz, and typically we don't see the Blitz be used on this bomb site too often because you're never really going to be in a position with the way that defenders usually set up where you can isolate a kill, which is where Blitz is fantastic at. We know that.
Yeah.
And it's not as though that you're crossing a massive open divide because you have the sense to do that job, so Blitz, I mean, you don't need that. So I can only assume that Blitz is going to be used as more of a distraction tool for the players above and try and get those roamers off the vert holes to try and get in and go for that plant.
Well, they're just trying to make sure that green is clear, but they're going to go for the close down on the verticality first. That is a good move. Get rid of those destructible ingredients, otherwise you'll find yourself stunned halfway down a corridor and then probably quickly finish off. This wall being soft, just means that they're going to get the work done in a slightly different way, but it's a hands-off hold, right? They're all above. They have the Solace. They're sort of saying, come on in. The side is fine. It's yours. Take it. And then suddenly they'll die. They've got a very wide hold above. KZ all the way on towards the sort of walkway, top of the rocket stairs. JV92's holding on towards Art. And you've got the double down top green. They know that's where the pressure's coming from because the Solace is reading everything. And they're happy to sort of just sit in this situation, and the gunfight has to be forced here above at some point. Maybe we'll see a bit of a bait. There's a risk chance Daystar could go with here of ignoring the verticality, trying to go for the plant with the shield on the back and seeing what happens next.
Yeah, but it's all about the Solace, isn't it? That's the main issue that they're going to have to try and suffer with.
There it is, immediately. Straight in.
I've just realized they're going to use the Thatcher to try and disable the Solace gadget.
Well, here's the play, here's the go on the plant, and you're right, you're a genius. They're going to go for it with the shield on the back, but not quite genius enough. Nade finds Joe, they've lost the shield. As said, the important operator often gets caught out first. And now, well, what do you do? The kid stuck in the middle, and you've also now lost the Thermite. 5 versus 3. It was a good idea. Unfortunately, it did not quite pay off. And now, Furia, they can sit there. They have this man advantage once again. They're holding onto these angles, waiting for things to come together. And remember, this is the tertiary site. This was the one where if Daystar could have won just this site twice, they win the map. And now as it sort of trickles through their fingers and falls away into probably a flawless, well, that fear might start to appear. Not a flawless, ooh. Not much worse.
Do we put that under Herds' total for the event?
Yeah, attack one on. Or do we take one away? Sprabooni. I'm gonna press my Sprabooni button. How do you count it?
Not like it's like it spawns in, you just press the button, it just appears.
It's like a giant signal that goes up above the event. Mm-hmm. If you ever need any stat.
Can't sing, that's copyright.
Oh. We'll have to invent our own superhero themed theme for Saturday morning's Sprabooni-based cartoon. Okay, we're going too deep into the Sprabooni-verse. 5-4, and they've lost a round after their timeout. They've lost 3 rounds in a row. The perfect rotation from Furia. And you can see the energy has dropped.
Yeah, and this is always the scary thing about the Brazilians. You know, any of them. It's not just Furia, all of them. They just love a good snowball, don't they? And it's that momentum-based siege that Furia... I mean, that's what they've dominated with throughout their careers. You think about the Invitational that they won. It was down to a momentum-based comeback.
Yeah. It's the sort of...
Attackers have located a bomb.
I guess... when you have a team that falls within their own expectations of what they believe they can get, whether it's a game like this, more so than the final, where they go, oh yeah, we're winning now, this is where we're supposed to be, they settle. And then because they settle, they then play better. And then it's always the expectation on the side of Daystar of, oh, we were so close. Even though they're still so close. Even though they're still on 5 rounds, they're still only 2 rounds away, and we've at least got a couple left. But the element of we had all the momentum, we were so close, now they are closer, it starts to eat away at you. And for what was a map where, let's be honest, us and the analysts had already sort of written this one off and expected, if anything, Daystar would pull it off at map 2 and map 3. Furia have reasserted, reassessed, and redefined what they can do. But remember, it was a massive utility battle here on towards Ops, and as you said before, the problem with Furia is, well, they can make a million problems. They always have a plan B and a plan C for when plan D falls into plan E territory.
Well, the opening strat here from the defense, pretty much the same as the last time they were up here. It's that combination of that Tachanka trying to stop anyone walking in towards Ops, and have that supportive figure. The Azami has been banned away, so they don't have to deal with that. However,
Yep.
Mira comes in as the swift replacement.
Hey,
So again, it's another obstacle that Daystar are going to have to try and get through. There's going to be a lot of pressure, of course, onto the Ace to try and remove said mirror window. Last time he did get picked off like immediately whenever he tried this, so he has to be very careful and just about gets in there with the Selma. Now that mirror window, it's gone. Forced them back into the bomb site, so half the round wasted. Pretty good for Furia.
Half the round and a pocket full of fire, but still more than enough to try and balance out the rest if they go for the plant alongside the 3 smokes and the 2 C4s. It's going to be a tricky place. They also have the last minute Dawn gadget. Love to see, obviously, the adaptation of her, how she's played with the big changes towards her gadget. It is now a lot more dangerous for teams, especially if they're going for the plant, and how you can try and maybe play against it. Joe on the smoke was able to make a few things happen. Talking of, there's one on the art window. Thorn can keep herself sort of preoccupied, swinging back and forth. They're well aware of this position, but without anything like a Ying to put the pressure out, it's going to have to potentially be Grim over the top. Try and force the motion as Herds gets the opener, gets rid of the Glaz though. This follow-through fight is one for KZ to lock in. Seal pops just off the side. There's one more for Herds. And now we have sort of just picking them off one at a time. That is that flawless round, Demo.
Yeah, literally, as you said, one by one by one. Nobody trading back. Obviously, you can see that a lot of those kills, it's just solo pushes. Bit of a worry there for Daystar. They need to try and work more as a unit.
Yep.
Of course, the time management is going to come into it, but that's what's going to happen if you don't ban Tachanka and Smoke. This is what you have to play against on that top floor. And that's where then we have to sit there and question the choice of bans. You know, yes, the electrifications have their own struggles, but me personally, I don't know how you feel, I would much rather deal with a Bandit and a Cade compared to the absolute mess that is the Smoke and the Chanka. You know, I think if you're dealing with a Bandit or a Cade, back below kind of solves that problem. Thatcher does exist.
Oh, yeah.
But what's the counterplay to the Chanka and the Smoke? Who just sat in the heart of the bomb site where you can't touch them, and they're stopping your default plan.
Oh, you want me to answer? I thought you were going to punctuate.
You play the game.
Bomb located by attackers.
Sometimes.
5 seconds left.
Is it in Azami? Joking.
I'll give you multiple choice.
Go on, then.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
I mean, okay. Sorry, I've actually forgotten the question because I'm kind of distracted by reading the lineup. Put buck pressure in. Where are you going, Souffle?
Yeah, I mean...
Where is Amaru?
Oh, never.
Nowhere.
Well, at least he tried.
Okay.
At least he had fun. I think. Yeah, I don't even know what the plan would have been with the Amaru apart from take early map control upstairs. But then he's just running outside and spawn peeked. So, well, I'll not question it. APAC. Don't question these things.
Once again, an operator they've brought to try and be a difference, to try and be a problem child, has been sort of put to bed.
You think the Amarus are the problem childs of Siege?
Yeah. And the people who play Amaru.
You've offended all 2 people.
Do you know what, right? Okay, I'll talk about this later, about how you play this operator, and have said to me verbatim, I hope you're ready to play a 4 versus 5. And then zipped into the site and died. But now it is a 4 versus 5, and maybe Souffle said the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, right now there's just nothing happening for Daystar. They've got themselves into the building. But there is so much util that they need to go through. A Goya will be popped. Herds, a double. I mean, he's at double digits again, by the way.
And for how slow he started this game as well, and, you know, well, okay, he started quite quick. He got the opening kill in the first 2 rounds, and then was the opening death in 2 rounds, and it was sort of back and forth, but it was nowhere compared to his game yesterday. Here, he gets himself back on the defense, and he wakes up again. Can just always be, and I think he was the MVP player from yesterday as well. Yeah. Well earned.
We watched what he was able to do.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So here comes the blitz. Gonna try and isolate the kill inside a connector, but there's the echo to counter that shield and force them back. He's not going to make a move until it's gone, and well, his teammate has been able to clear it out, but still. Oh dear, the Clash looking right at him as well. There's so many counters here for the Blitz. That was an Elamine. Oh dear. I mean, everything just stops that Blitz. You look at that lineup, what was he supposed to do? The Echo into looking at Clash Shield with an Elamine on top. I don't envy him. I know all about it.
No, that's not the best place for them to try and find their feet. And now, well, is this the best way for this map to potentially end? A 5-1, and the first attack was the closest of any that we have seen from Daystar, but it wasn't to be landed into a 6-5 for Furia with 2 flawlesses back-to-back. Buddy. This isn't looking so good right now. Daystar, all of the wind from their sails has not only been taken away from them, but has been drafted the other direction. It is blowing pretty pacily for Furia.
And it also pulls us back into the graphic at the start of the day that the desk showed, where the conversion rate, you know, for Daystar, if they're not able to get that opening pick, it's not great. And I think that kind of shows where I think all but one of the opening kills has kind of went in favor of Furia so far this half. And you know, stuff like that needs to be sorted like pretty quickly, and it just hasn't. You know, Furia constantly getting that first pick, always putting Daystar at a man disadvantage. And this is exactly what we worried about coming into this after what we've seen from Daystar over the past couple of days.
A roaming mirror of Herds.
This is we've seen this yesterday.
We did see this yesterday.
This is one of these strats.
It's a mirror off on the roam, hiding the mirror inside ops and hoping that you can maybe make something happen. I mean, if he's able to start pulling these kind of maneuvers off again, I'm thinking we're going to get... I'm thinking he's back.
You're dead. You're dead.
They know he's dead.
He's
dead. He's got to be dead. They know he's swinging. They have the call. They're putting pre-fire on. He's just going to leave. And they're actually not going to risk the fight as well.
That tells a lot about the mentality of Daystar. Herds has been droned in the middle of a big old room in towards ops, and they're scared to peek him as he's running away. How many times do we see somebody get droned? They try and run across the softball, and that DMR can go through that wall pretty quickly. They didn't even want to risk it there, man. They just stayed outside, let him go.
Will they be able to find a body? That entry game has felt just horrendous. Obviously, most recently in the past couple of rounds where they can't even get a break and a breath. But for the team that was so happy to swing into every engagement and seemed confident behind it, that confidence has just wilted like the beautiful flowers that we have for all of our groups. Unfortunately, theirs is looking a little bit worse for where. Oh, where will they decide to put this pressure on? They're opening up art. They've got the drone on the back. They know that there's less players above. This time round, there is at least one in sight, but it's KZ, so you probably don't want to immediately toe-to-toe with him, as both him and Herds are obviously operating and popping on one of those levels that they like to do. Here's the pressure. The close down on towards this verticality. Herds is the one that might be the first border call, but JV92 is actually hiding in a corner on the swing, waiting for the approach potentially. They've got each other covered. There's the first fight, and as I said, Herds, he was looking for it. They can't quite get this mirror window open because they know there's going to be a swing, but there goes KZ, and that's inside the site. Suddenly, back and forth above. Now he didn't see the man! Seal!
Lion shotgun.
With the Lion shotgun, keeps popping. There's a clash, but they're in the middle of a fight of their own. Souffle's able to get one more, and suddenly we might be screaming in towards OT here. Demo into 1 versus 1 nade! He pulled off a massive almost clutch earlier, and this time round, what's the peak? What's the game? What's the pre-fire? It's another shotgun on shotgun, but he steps back! Nade! That back line, Mr. Reliable, Mr. Hammer Lifter. He's starting to angle for another.
Oh, big old clutch on the Clash, who... Like, I mean, this operator, I think this event has been incredible. How she has been played. Again, it's the maneuverability of having that portable cover that just allows you to have that advantage whenever you're in those clutch moments.
I think it's also the energy, right? Look at Daystar. Compare them to when they're up, and when they're down, and when we're off to the break, we're off to the break.
Reloading! Daystar shocked us all with an incredible first half, 5-1 up against former world champions. Very quickly did that start to slip away in that second half, but we can't take away from the first half, Jack.
How much hope did we have, Rob? How much hope?
Okay, going into the second half, we were bouncing.
We were thinking 5-1 Daystar. They were excellent. Why were they excellent? Well, on defense, you couldn't shoot at a Daystar player without 2 or 3 being in such close proximity to each other. Look at these trades out here in round 4. Trading it out, and it ends up being a 4 versus 2 that they end up then converting. They actually have a 5-1 defensive half, which is usually phenomenal. It isn't enough. And again, they've got the raw talent. They were trading each other out, and then Joe Gore tried, faked the back off, ended up ratting up at the top floor and getting a 3K to win the round. It was all looking so rosy, but then they didn't execute the same thing on attack. They were so spread out.
I mean, the way that they were playing together on defense is commendable, but what we talked about, if the entries aren't working, what are we going to go from there? And that's what we didn't see Daystar do. So good that they understood the problem, but they didn't translate it on to their own attacks. And that was the biggest issue, because not only does Furia have great individual players, but they pieced everybody from Daystar apart, forcing them to have to split up. And I mean, the last round from Nate to be able to get the 3K was a prime example of that. I mean, 1v1 after 1v1, even in a 3v1 situation, Daystar is not playing the man advantage. And that's the biggest downfall. Yes, Furia was attacking very early on to force Daystar to have to find creative ways into the map. But even when you have the advantage, that is the biggest downfall.
Look at what we said was important about the entries there. It was only Pika that was managing to get any entries, or the only player to get an entry kill for the side of Daystar. In the end, they just succumbed to that. And I think that's ultimately the problem. The defense was really good.
Yes.
They were getting the entries, they were being close together, they were being compact, they were not giving Fury any space. As soon as they got on the attack, they just saw it there in the clutch. It's just 1 by 1 by 1. That's the immediate and obvious fix that they need.
But if they learn that we need to play together because we're not going to outgun Furia from defensive side, we see that they're actively problem solving. So hopefully going into the next map, that's where we can see Daystar understand, hey, doesn't matter what the situation is, doesn't matter what the round count is, when we're on attack, we need to make sure that we're playing off of each other, because it worked so well on our defensive sided layer.
We highlighted Herds going into that game 12-9. Yeah, 6-2 entry, I think it was, something absurd like that. It's that those are the kind of players that just completely turn the tides, especially when you're down 5-1 in the first half. The mental composure you have to back that up.
Yeah. And I think the mental's actually going to come into it big, because Furia, they've been here time and time before. They know all about a comeback. You know, we was in Brazil. We saw them. We saw them come back all that time ago, 2 years ago now. But they know about the comeback, but they know what the comeback can do to their opponents. You know, Daystar, after that map was done, they looked deflated. It looked like they knew that they'd missed their chance to really turn this competitive. Whereas Furia will know that. They will sense that. They will know that they've got their foot on the neck of Daystar now, and they just need to get over the line.
Now you might ask, what can Daystar do to be able to bring it back?
I was going to.
I know you so well. And the answer to that is, especially when you've been deflated after having such a monumentous lead and still throwing it away, you need a big player to come alive. So if anything, look to players like Pika. If you get a big play, if you're able to get that momentum, the confidence back, a big round to put momentum in Daystar's favor, that's where you'll see the team come alive that they desperately need in Bank.
Bank, it's a big map and it's a big opportunity for Daystar. Obviously, that's not the kind of performance they wanted in the second half, but they could back it up here. Could they steal away a potential map from Furia? We'll have to find out. Enjoy the matchup.
Thank you. We will find out. And I had a bit of hopium before that game started, and unfortunately it's been washed away. But, well, we know Lair was a very strong one, and here, let's see if I've won at least, I think, 2%. 2% more people.
That's increased, by the way, I think, since map 1, which is typically not the norm.
We have a chance. It's obviously still early, and, well, off next to the back. So, Daystar started stronger than anything and ended with a bit of a whimper. Furia, they fell downhill, but then found their feeting and started running after like they were doing an English tradition and chasing a big wheel of cheese. But the cheese was the first map win. Will they get themselves this 2-0, another for their tally, and get themselves a top 2 guaranteed finish in groups? Or Can Daystar prove there's a little bit more light coming from this star, and it's not quite gone supernova just yet?
Look at the bans. Smoke ban, don't see that all too often, but again, it makes sense. Both of those bans for the defenders are going to be targeted to weaken that basement bomb site. Don't have the Cade to cover off those hatches, and then, of course, the smoke we know as being the primary objective stopper. Obviously, whenever we talk about Bank for Furia, we've seen it yesterday. And again, Bank we know is a good map for them. Even though if you kind of went through their past results on Bank, it didn't look too favorable. But you look at some of the losses that they had and who they had losses to. Falcons, Team Secret, teams that we know inside our region, Emmy.
We do.
Very strong on a map like Bank.
We do. Yeah. I think that's the sort of element of how Bank plays into everything, right?
10
Is
seconds
that
left
we know
before
that you
insertion.
can be a great team. Great teams are made in having a wider map pool, and then they
5
make that map
seconds
pool stronger
remaining.
and stronger. And yes, maps can be great in a region, maps can be good in wherever, but
Attackers are moving
Furia,
out to
for the
locate a bomb
longest
and
time,
defuse it.
throughout the history of this sort of super roster that it has been, has always loved taking teams and regions, especially to their best maps, and going, this is our map now, this is our best map now. And as you said, they have that accreditation. They took it from EML a couple of times. They just love to dabble. And sometimes, well, even if you take a loss, you learn a handful of lessons, and that will just improve you as time goes on.
Defender lineup. A little bit of everything. You've got your plant denial with your Tachanka and your Goyo, but also a roaming presence because the Skopos comes into play. So you will expect that Daystar will stretch their legs, which I think if they hit this defensive half with the same aggressive kind of ferocity that they had inside the lair, it will bear them pretty well. I think overall for Furia, it's more a case of I think they just need to try and play it pretty safe. I don't think going in by themselves, looking for those kind of lurks, that's not going to work for them. I just think they need to say, okay, we're going to take this part of the map, and that is it. Don't try and overextend yourself against the team who we know have been pretty darn aggressive so far this event.
They are making sure that they don't get caught by the game that Daystar were brilliant at on the first map. A loose player, a loose problem, and a loose bit of math that unfortunately throws the entire approach equation into confusion. There's a lot of droning, a lot of checking and double checking. They've obviously got the IQ to potentially play against any cams that could lead on forward. We saw some usage of obviously Valk and Echo previously. It's a fair assumption here. Herd slow and steady. Drifts the way down. They have the cross beacon. They're just going to force that player out of elevator. And now we'll see if they're going to try and hold on at least for one. They are!
Gotta reload!
JV92, goodbye Habana.
What did I say? Don't be moving in by yourself. And that's exactly what he's did. He has went solo in towards lobby. He swung the elevator player and he's died. Not a great start here for Furia. And now where do they go? They have the loss of the Habana, so trying to get in towards the kind of default plant position inside of blue, opening it up. It's going to be
Sight hatch is also locked as well.
pretty difficult.
So instead, they just swing in. There's one. Seal is found by KZ. Nate is taking some damage, and Hurt just puts the pedal to the metal and finally hits a bit of a brick wall, but it's a 3 versus 3. They have garage control. They force the players into a bit of a panic. They can't quite get the feet in the right position, and Joe, lying in the middle of the floor, is about to be swung from behind. It's trade game after trade game. And the one left standing, is Daystar.
Off the back of losing that Habana. The idea of trying to go traditional in through server ain't going to work for them. Again, for Furia, it's just that initial opening where they get caught out again. I mean, the shots I think Daystar fit today have been on point against a team like Furia, and we know the gunners that they have, so it is impressive. But that is the basement locked out, which is surprising. You know, whenever you've invested your banning phase to try and make that basement weaker, and then you lose it, you're thinking, oh dear. Because now we head to this top floor, and we know there's going to be operators like your Castle, like your Zami available.
How much momentum can they wrest back? For all the conversation about it, as I said, I was curious how Buck was going to come into it, and there's the conversation of prep and counter-prep. You know, you and I obviously got a taste of how this team can play and how this team plays a bank. yesterday in what was a very solid sort of showing. There can always be work done by Daystar in the overnight to expect a bank, to learn a couple of the sort of counter plays, and
Attackers must locate
if they can
and
get
defuse the
themselves
bomb.
into that sort of role that they were on before, if they can keep this in some elements a defender-sided game and then do those little bit of counter prep. As I said before, you know, the first map, they got themselves a 5-1 defensive half. Different map, that's a great way of leading how we want to continue, getting rid of the Grim on a peak. Is that down the dirt tunnel? Drop on the elevator, maybe? Or is that out a window at top of the stairs? Could have been one of the two. Who knows? Either way, all I know is Grim's dead.
Yeah, again, it's that opening engagement. A little bit of aggression, catching Furia by surprise. And oh, look at that! The double peek out the window! They found another!
That's the Ying!
Oh, they've lost the Ying and the Grim right from the get-go. So the pushing power, the utility dump is gone. And now for Furia, it's going to have to be one heck of a showing to win this round, but just don't see it happening. I mean, Daystar, look on the defense. We've seen what happened on Lair. They could easily rack up quite a few rounds in a row. It's the second half that we'll get into eventually, but at the moment, this is deja vu. Is that French, I think?
Ooh la la. Philippox trying to roll the shield in on towards the stock pressure, see if they can force the Azami out, but with these laser gates, it's going to be the first as a burn. They'll throw this in fine, but there's always another Kiba, right? At this point, they've only been able to really get rid of half of it, and they just don't have the utility. There's that grenade, as I said. It'll get rid of the two Kibas, and they've got to try and push behind it. Seal gets Philippox. There goes the shield. There goes one more. And JV92. All that is left, a minute 10. Has time. Obviously, we know he has the clutch capabilities. It's really down to how Daystar want to hand it to him, because to be honest, what they've wanted to do here is not let anybody into the building. They've kept everything external so far. The one player's hopped in. He's got to go into a cross. He knows this is going to happen, and a flawless.
What did he tell him?
Told him, shoot him. Swing out the building.
Well, Furia. Wonder if the timeout is nearing that point again. I mean, Igor has not been afraid of calling the early timeouts. That doesn't look like it's going to happen here at the moment. So, going to move into our next round. And I mean, look, overall for that attack, it never really started.
No.
The aggressive
How could it?
Peaks from Daystar, it just ruined that. Right from the word go. And again, it's that ferocity. It's the way that Daystar wanted to upset Furia. They are doing everything that you just don't expect in a professional match.
But it's everything you want to see them do, right? I was terrified that they would get into bank and they would forget how good they were in the opening half on their defense of that. I was worried we wouldn't get that same sort of translation of aggression. Bank is a map that loves that play. Bank is a map that lives and thrives around that play. And being confident in a play space when you know that they're going to be trying to shut you down is sort of desperately needed. Here, on towards the tertiary site, they've obviously got themselves, you know, the stretch out. They've got the verticalities. Thorn, with her recent changes, has been picked and played quite a bit. They're hoping that they can sort of lure them in, get them hit, pull them back, and then spray through the side of the stock wall, potentially. Just big angles from this. Now, I was going to say, can open that hatch to escape. Has done. This nade might be the first point of pressure, but you can see they're worried about this aggression.
I've seen the Zero be brought in, I think, to gain information of,
Yeah.
are they going to be peeking the windows again? So it's not a bad idea to, again, give yourself just a little bit more of that control and more information, which was a big issue. I think the information game really hit Furia where it hurt.
I love that. They've obviously got the laser gate on the other side of the castle to bait out at least a bit of utility, and they realize the players behind it, because of it activating and deactivating. And they can obviously roll the grenade out underneath and try and play against it, but they wanted to bait maybe some of these pellets in instead and just, you know, get a catch on them. There's the breach on towards Kanto wall, the eyes across the top. I mean, that stock swing isn't as easy, but they've actually sort of left stop.
See, that's good. Putting the cameras in towards that massive room of lobby, which I believe is the biggest room in the game.
Oh, gotta be.
So being able to have the information and knowing if players are going to be swinging onto the windows is crucial.
Well, Seal gets herds on the opposite side. He was swung outside of the window. Potentially Seal!
Oh,
Everybody put your hands together and clap. KZ also almost got caught on the windows as well. And it's again, they're just not letting them in the building.
No.
Everywhere seems to be dangerous. Everywhere seems to be a threat. This position of Souffle obviously has been droned and checked out before. He's sort of popped his way back round and slipped on towards that vertical, and it just keeps them guessing. And there's got to be a timeout after this round, even if it sort of pulls it together, because it's the same things we saw Furia suffering from on the first side. There's just a drive from Nade, but the verticality is just going to feed the Blackbeard in, and he looked like he was going to try and contest the vertical for a second there. Opted not to. JV92 has instead gone elsewhere because they know a player's going to be there, and it's an awkward fight to take when you've got to pass through a doorway first. 30 seconds. He's going to try and get the kit from the other direction. In fact, actually, it's the movement inside because they've realized they've peeled off and pulled off. Pressure from the main stairs. Swing round, 20 seconds. Double down, and KZ does get sealed, but does take a bite out of JV. And there's Joe getting a bit of revenge. A last-second dash in towards the site itself. They know he's coming from here. They've got 3 bodies all watching it from slightly different angles. And that is 3 rounds in a row for Daystar.
well. I mean, overall, for Furia, it's the same issues that they had on Lair. Struggling with the opening engagements, the aggression, the shots that are being hit by Daystar. Just too much to really deal with. I don't really know where they're going to go from here. Gotta be the timeout. No, it has to be.
I mean, it... However else you sort of...
Só me escuta, vocês vão fazer a mesma coisa os 3 rounds. Os 3 rounds eu quero que a gente jogue blocado, caçando pelo saguão, colocando mira, todo mundo junto da forma que a gente conversou lá atrás. Parar de ficar jogando splitado. Então eu quero uma DMR que quebre a janela do Noted, quebre a porta verde, as janelas da LAN e vocês joguem todo mundo blocado ali pra play ouro. Então, no bombe de baixo a gente vai fazer a caçada da phase, no bombe do meio a gente faz a play ouro conforme a nossa exec, esquece o penkill, esquece tudo, só faz isso. E no bombe da área aberta a gente faz subindo, que esses caras não estão givando o mapa, eles estão querendo ter tudo. Se tiver o setup de mira e o Amai, tu pode só tu pegar o blitz, alguém prepara pra tu e você joga lá comendo o zelador na hora. Joguem todo mundo junto pra punir esses caras.
He can talk a lot, can't he?
Mm-hmm. Another thing that I want to know, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe that these two rosters have ever played against each other. And I don't know if that is that maybe an issue for Furia? Because it does feel as though Furia's played everybody in the world. They know all the teams, but this could be one, because I kind of cross-reference the former teams that they were known as well. That being obviously W7M for Furia, and then also Direwolves for the Daystar team. And again, I came up with nothing, so I don't believe that they've ever played each other. Again, I could be wrong. I could get fact-checked within an instant, but I think I would have remembered it, because I do watch quite a bit of Siege.
You've been known to watch quite a bit of Siege.
10 seconds left.
You've got it on your sort of pastime. I can give you another fun fact about just this tournament. This is the first time across all the maps that they've played, Furia haven't won a round in the opening 3, regardless of the maps and the ones that they've done so far. So Daystar, this is the best start a team has had against Furia throughout this tournament so far. So whatever isn't clicking, wow, really causing them a few problems here. Can the team talk have more success? Because last time, obviously, they opted for it in the middle of the first half, and it didn't quite net anything afterwards. Instead, it turned into a 5-1 situation. As I said at the start of this, you pointed out there, what's the sort of prep? What's the history? Are Furia expecting Daystar? I think it's a very fair statement to say every team expects Furia, because every team will prep for Furia, because every team expects them to probably be in the final. If you want to be in the final, you'll have to get through Furia at some point. They're just one of those teams, one of those names, and there's maybe that drive
For the past 3 years, they have been tournament favorites in every single one.
Yep.
So that kind of sums it up how good this team really is. But all credit to Daystar, the way they've approached it as well. And just overall for Furia, let's hope that timeout is strong for them, or else we could be looking at an even worse scoreline to Lair. That's saying something. It was a 5-1.
As my friend would say, time to make a new
Getting themselves some opening. There has been way less of a roam, obviously, this time.
Yeah.
Think about the positions we had at Daystar. Instead, back down to the side. Let's assume that they're going to talk about how to close us down. Let's change the idea. Let's change the angle. And it hasn't actually slowed Furia down. They've hit the field, they've kept going, and now putting pressure down main stairs. They've got the hatches that they want open. Remember last time that it was the hard breach that died first. JV92 couldn't get any of this work done. So instead, what Daystar have sort of handed Furia here is a bit of an open canvas, and they're painting multiple approaches.
Yeah, and only a minute left. Not a massive amount of time for Furia to think about the execute now. Still have to, of course, go through the Tachanka, and the multitude of C4s are at the disposal of Daystar. Oh, the Tachanka goes down because he proned. He exposed his leg, and that DMR tore him to pieces. Big old blunder from Seal. And now that time issue that was going to be staring Furia in the face is gone.
Ooh, Herds is taking the jiggle peek here on the angle, but Souffle does get nade, and that's the Blackbeard gone as well. The kit, cold above the hatch itself, will get recollected, but if you're going for that on the coverage, well, it's almost a trade-off. They don't have the burn, but they do have the sort of brawn. There goes JV. He's caught by Azuki. They drop inside the stun. They're in absolutely every thorn, and they're going to see if they can plant. But look at the timer demo. Swing, buddy, swing. Go for the pop. He's right next to you. No, he doesn't see him. They get the plant. Secured, and Refire Hurd holds it down.
It's all about the plant position. The off-angle plant position. Nobody plants there. I think that's maybe the only time I've ever seen it be planted there. Mostly because you're in front of everything.
Yep.
But it's smoked off, and instinctively, you hear the diffuser going down, you would naturally assume, oh, he's going to be behind the bomb chassis, so we just jumped right on by him. Brilliant.
It's a game of inches. It's so brilliant, but it's like how close it was. If the smoke was slightly misplaced there, I mean, you could see he was looking behind the bomb chassis as well. Our eyes instinctively go to where he is because we see the outline. We know everything. He is not seeing that. He is beelining, knowing if I die and I stop him, we win. It's just...
And what do we always know about that bomb site? If that diffuser gets planted, it's done.
It's done.
That it is so... I mean, this map, we always talk about it. Like, having a difficult retake is one thing, but having two in the same map is insane. You have the basement with all the long angles, and you just retreat to the hatches. You think about now this bomb site upstairs as the diffuser goes down, challenged onto the windows. Planet-orientated siege will benefit you massively on a map like Bank.
Well, they were able to get the round after their timeout and probably breathe a bit of a sigh of relief. If they can drive this one forward, I mean, you know, 2 attacks on your Bank, 3, and you've definitely upset the sort of apple cart of Daystar. But big guns, I think, is the sort of MO.
2 snipers.
2 snipers. Keep themselves a bit of bay, and hey, remember how it used to be previously? People swinging outside, taking the fight outside. All right, Challenger rifle.
You can only assume that they've brought in the Cali for the potential castle barricades that could have been brought into the lineup, but castle nowhere to be seen. Still can go through these Ami barriers, don't forget, which is always a bit of an issue too. But in terms of getting into the bomb site, you're going to have to rely, of course, on the smokes, and they brought 4 of them. Just a nade.
Didn't quite get the barbed wire you wanted.
Hurts needs to be careful here as well, because he does have those very valuable smoke grenades, and that's it. This is what they do. They will take those risks.
It was great, and JV92 suffers on the long window as well, but he actually wins out his engagement. DMRs. Who'd have thought that they would be as popular as they are?
So now only leaves him with the 2 smoke grenades. Ideally, Glaz would love to have them for him to be able to get some kills from, but now they may have to shift it where he has to utilize that to help the person going in for the plant. But right now, Philippux, he's not going to do that. He's going to use them for himself.
Yep, try and drive his way up. I mean, if he can get a body, if he can get a pick, then he can sort of stem this into his favor. There's the Echo. Philippux does still find Hazuki whilst hit by it, though, and now all the stuns inside. Souffle takes some damage, but it's a 4 versus 2 as they get themselves another body and they encircle those round on the back, but they have a grasp on sight. They just scream their way up. The plant is going down. There's at least a down on 1, but it will get confirmed, and now it's a 3 versus 1, and you talk about impossible retakes. We don't even get to see a start of this one.
The important pick was eliminating the player over towards front desk. As he jumped in through that window, he gets caught up with the player in the lobby repel, and as soon as you lose that person, especially with the information known, but don't forget the Echo previously had just left the position of elevator because he went for the off the top rope, went for the splash. That just gives so much map control away from Furia, and that's what they targeted immediately. The Glaz is thinking, nobody's here to stop me. The only thing that really tried to stop him was like an Echo stun, and that was it, not an actual person. And then once you gain control of Banana, that area, the whole bomb site's so open.
He still got a kill whilst he was hit by the Echo drone as well. It just sort of shows. And, you know, the way Furia applied the pressure, again, the past 2 rounds is pace. Super quick in applying themselves, but think about, right, that round, we saw it in motion. As soon as they lost those positions, bam, instant rotate. Glaz is now pushing up towards the spiral location. As soon as that kill happens onto the Glaz, you've still got the plant going on. You've still got this rotate pressure. They keep themselves 1 step ahead of not only their own approach, but of Daystar's attempt to roam, to flank, to lure. Every bit of intel from both of these teams is about 5 to 10 seconds out of date this time round because people just keep moving. The thing is, Furia are going in a very direct direction towards the site itself, and Daystar not being able to catch up is sort of meaning that they're having to play close to the plant, close to the execute. Furia can get themselves tied up here. Get themselves, well, maybe they didn't get around in the opening 3, but they took all the ones since then, and then we get into that horror. There's what was the previous map. Furia back on the defense. Daystar, their 5-1 lead they had on the previous map, just sort of falling away for a regulation loss. They could not get a single attack, and here's a way to start. Herds wanted to drive directly down to the site, but nobody is playing that game.
Nope, gets punished. He's went for the bold challenge. Hasn't worked out for him, and it's again for Furia. They are sat at the man disadvantage very early on. Look, I don't think losing out the Ash is a massive issue. Maybe would have been nice to remove the Miro windows, but you still have got options around that. You can see KZ on the Twitch, has a Twitch drone that he can utilize. But everything is running pretty smooth so far with a setup from Furia. Pretty standard take. Let's see if they can try and get themselves in towards server now. No hard breach, though, to open up the kind of default wall you see teams try and plant on. Oh dear, bit of a aggressive swing up the stairs there from Zuki, but has been batted back. So a minute left, and just at the Chanka, that's really the only thing you should be worried about, but maybe if the Glaz can pick them off using the smokes.
They're gonna try it. They're gonna go for the swing. They're trying to bait out the utility now, and you can see the Glaz is hoping somebody drifts on and feels a bit fun, but nobody's having fun right now. Further smokes, further fire, and keeping themselves at bay. Remember we talked about, oh no, he's just going to go for the plant. Azuki in the meantime gets another kill. The flames aren't landing. It's going to be a 5 versus 3 post-plant situation. And with KZ holding onto the verticality, well, now they can peel back. Suddenly, 40 seconds, but look at the players. Do you go for a vertical retake? You kind of have to. And that's what they're going to hope here. This isn't going to really get you too far right now, gang. You've got to go somewhere, do something. 15 seconds have passed, and now the pings are coming through. It's 2 versus 1. KZ has them stacked, but there's a player over the top. They know they just need 7 seconds, but now they've got 1 player left. Now it's 2 and 3. KZ collaterals his way. The story of success. There's one slightly further off. It's the vertical hold. You said it was a tough retake demo. They made it look impossible.
That's it. 3v5. As soon as that diffuser hits, it's that retake, and it is so difficult. Look, they had the pre-placed camera holding on to main stairs. KZ knew exactly who was coming towards them, and he picked his kills with such ease. But again, you have to go back to how did that plant happen? The Tachanka missing where they were planting. They had that soft wall, the longer angle in towards server. Typically a no-no to kind of plant in because you're exposed to the massive opening of a meter window. But what was the counterplay that Fury had? They used the smokes along with the glass, where if somebody did try and go for the swing to stop that plant going down, they would have been killed by the glass. So the counterplay was great, but still, missed utility is going to punish them.
A little bit of back and forth in the old chat.
Can I quote that?
Well, they also typed it just before on the stream. They're just calling each other bots and you know, getting into other's heads. It's all part of the game. I mean, that is not good. But you're swinging an awkward angle there, and it's tough. You have to get the verticality. Just KZ. Just KZ, thanks. Just KZ, thanks.
I mean, he's happy because his timeout's been good for 3 in a row.
It's great for 3 in a row. He's always, you know, as far as the coach goes and as far as the vocal coach goes, he is a hype man.
Yep.
Really, really tries to raise the energy of the team, and his voice probably takes as much of a battering this tournament as ours does, if not more.
10 seconds left before
But 3 apiece. They've got themselves tied up. They've got themselves even, and as I said before, they've got themselves onto that half that was an absolute tragedy. The Daystar before, we saw just a flawless run of defenses from Furia. Daystar could not find that inroad.
Look at the lineup for a basement attack. I mean, from Daystar, this is very off the cuff. This is not down the beaten track that we're used to seeing. Osa makes an appearance, and there's 2 ways that we see the operator be utilized on this basement. One is using that as the way of getting in towards server and using that as the cover to go for the plant. Or 2, you bring her and you put her straight into a position inside a garage just to hold the cutoff point. And we've mentioned about garage before. If you can get into that position, you basically split the bomb sites in 2. You shut down any movement inside of red corridor. You just have a good time. It's great. Great pause.
Great pause. And great positive mental attitude. Joe.
Put the shield down.
Ready with the first Talon shield and get themselves just droned ahead. Do they think that they can try and cut their way across? No. Says the Valkyrie camera that'll give the game away that somebody is here, but look how empty it is right now. The drone rolls on through. They'll sort of be like, I can watch it, but you can see some dropping on the hatch is already happening. Right, Hertz is getting a step closer. He's going to make sure that he wasn't on the top floor because they're not really coming for him. He can play about and cause some chaos, draw some attention here if they went for something sneaky, but talking about sneaky, it's Bikanzu. The Nook with the kit. Alone on the top floor is a bit of a risk, just in case. Think about what happens if he loses his 1. It's a minute 30 left and the kit's cold.
I think they're just going to try and go for a 3-2-1 collapse and hope that everyone just wins their individual engagements. You look how spread out they are. They're trying to target every entrance in towards this basement. I mean, Azuki, he's now against the idea of going for that. First pick, though, goes in favor of Daystar. Needs someone keep going. Keeps peering into the bomb site.
Oh, Bikanzu does go down. There's almost a down on towards Felipox to keep things going back and forth. He's still alive, though. As he said, the saving grace came through, and as he said, they want to try and win their 1s. You can see that they're going for the collapse close down, but they don't have that kit. The kit is currently by Archives. It's in the mid-floor. It's nowhere near the site itself, and at this point, they can sort of go, okay, we can watch that, or we can just watch on towards the site. We can play this game. The mute jammer to stop the calls going out so they can swing this corner. There's the realization somebody's there. Now, they cannot get Felipox up, but they don't have to because there's 30 seconds. And now, at this point, Daystar, the risk has not really paid off. They have to just sit and wait and hope. There's the swing round. Soufflé does get a vertical. Technically a 3 versus 2, but 20 seconds. They know they've still got to go for the plant. They're maybe just going to try and drop the hatch and cover the cross. Here's the motion. Do they have the hatch open? Azuki does, but not quite enough in time. Joe finally finds the end of Felipox, though, and it's a double down, but a 3 versus 1, technically a 2, as it's all down to Nade once again. Sprays through 1, gets them both! He just keeps going and going and going, Demo.
Out of time, and it forces that mistake. sprints right into the crosshairs off the Tachanka. Daystar, they start their approach. They tried to find the first pick. They were able to do so. Really unfortunate that they weren't able to confirm the kill on Philippox, who, by the way, bled out.
Just the whole
time, he just on the ground, nobody interested in picking him up. And there was a moment where there was the double kill that came back from Furia. And it just stalled out the round to the point where it ends in this, where there's just no time, and they're panicking looking for that final kill. And it makes it so easy just for him to stand and just switch from one angle to another.
One of those little things, those little moments that comes back to sort of haunt you later on, is if they had the site hatch open after getting the down on towards the player inside, and after getting especially the kill on the player on the swing, they could have dropped and planted. They could have had that, but with the approach that they went for, they didn't have the option. They went for this sort of spread out, let's go in with a gun game, and just that preparatory work that complemented Furia on. You don't really know what you're going to hit. You don't, you know, it's in some ways I'm describing a take and they did a different take, fine, but it shows how those like pre-prepared angles, those openings that you can get, and why you'll see teams on their approach open so much width. If you're ever confused about it, that's a good example of why, because it gives you late round options, a very quick break on towards the site wall here. It's a bit of an awkward one though. Usually you want that as a way that you can sort of swing in from and move in from slowly and just sort of go. You don't really want it to be a hop, but it does open a bit of early pressure.
Drone ready.
In goes the drones. Seeing if there's any util to slow down that Ying. Don't see much really. A lot of the util's kind of been set up in towards Janitors. To the shield that's going to help her try and hold on to that position for a little bit longer. And don't forget the operator that he's in. He is, of course, going to be on that Warden, who is fantastic for this top floor. Whenever we know, a lot of teams will bring smokes to try and get themselves in for that window, but the Warden just has a quick peek, looks through them, and kills you as you repel. But he has been dealt with as that wall was opened up, and again, good early kind of probing here from Daystar, and I assume they're going to try and get the buck in below and use that for verticality and really make sure nobody's inside that janitor.
Now with the first engagement coming together, Azuki gets KZ. Maybe we'll see all chat again sooner rather than later, and JV gets Joe. Balances back and forth. They've lost the ace. We saw them using Selmas quite early and doesn't quite get it.
Do you need any more bullets there?
I think, yeah. Maybe. DMRs can't do every job, it seems. But there was nothing that immediately impacted on the back of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're not going to go for the buck below. Instead, Buck's more playing as the kind of lurk role, eyeing up a walk up the staircase just to apply that little bit of a back pressure and makes it so Furia have two different things to deal with rather than just the one in the windows.
Here's the blinds, here's the go, here's the break onto the barbed wire. They're fully stacked and Wing just misses his man, but there's the double up, the team up, and the pressure means that they can sort of support each other somehow. Gets the fade in as they fade away, but this player tucked behind the wall gets the last, and Furia, the network that they had built was on the expectation of what was being done. So many of those cursory first flashes, those blinds, those candelas, it was signal posted where they wanted to enter.
It was a very tight formation from Fury. It was almost kind of like a square where you were always able to be supported by two other teammates if you had to, and that was the support structure that they implemented. You know, we have the guy hold on towards main stairs, one inside of meeting, one holding in towards front desk, one on the site, and they can all support each other. That is crucial that you need to have on Bank, is that support structure, especially on a top floor bomb site, which we know can be really difficult to hold whenever Canto wall gets opened up. The window pressure you can apply. So yeah, really good hold from Furia. Daystar just missing that little bit of a punch. I just feel as though that Daystar, they're really relying on individuals to make a play, and nobody's really getting into the swing of things of doing that. You know, they're just waiting for that one crouch walk to pay off with a double kill, just to completely open up the bomb site. But Furia, they're giving them nothing.
Nothing.
5 seconds left.
Those woes of attack seem to be coming together. And I said it at the start of this. Daystar being able to take the first 3 rounds against Furia. It's the first time Furia have suffered not getting a single round in the opening 3 this tournament. knowing the team probably, if you really wanted to dive, I'm sure that statistic might stretch even a bit further. But since then, nothing. Since then, that timeout. Since then, that conversation and the collapse on the rest of this game. Furia, they've doubled themselves down. Daystar, it's not just a matter of winning the tertiary. They've then got to see if they can try and shift this entire game back in towards their favor. And what have they not done, Demo? A timeout. They haven't had that conversation. They still think it's within their grasp. They are risking pushing themselves on towards map point.
Coffee and Igor waiting until you lose free before you call the timeout.
You will learn from the best. As I said it, the reason Furia love to play maps like this against the best teams on it is you learn. Maybe that's something. Oh, well, I said it. KZ's learned the lesson of I'm going to peek outside the same way you did to me many, many rounds. And that puts them on the back foot. No buck on a vertical approach site Demo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the buck's going to be the biggest issue for them. It's still trying to clear away these roamers that have kind of scattered themselves all around the map, not just in towards the top floor, but they've actually kind of dropped from there now, but also in towards that mid floor. And speaking of, Souffle's going to try and go at them.
Ooh, gets himself a double right in the core of bottom square. And Pillar, and there's Azuki. Held and waited at bay. A 4 versus 2. They've been able to swing this momentum back in towards their favor. They're waiting for the swing on Beepers as well, because at this point, maybe those core backline players could try and get something, but Nade has to watch a quad wall that's going to be steadily opened and pressured and droned out, and Hertz has to watch Beepers. He's taken an aggressive position on it. In the case he can get Azuki, but look at the rest of the sort of lineup. Every bit of pressure is on the other side. Azuki's holding.
Need to try and get these 10 openers on that quad wall to move that player into a danger position. That, of course, being Nade. If that wall gets opened up behind him, he's as good as dead. Or else he can still make things happen. He's going to try and go for the swing. Oh, flash, but he does get the down.
He gets the down. A massive potential moment here, but instead they're going to try and double down, and now he's going to do it with full clarity and vision. They can't quite get him in a single instance. They finally find it sealed. And now they can see if they can get this kit planted. They know where the last player is, and they just need to play objective right now. The game that suffered them suffers them no more. Their first attack in this series, in this showdown.
Done a great job at taking the fight to those players in towards Tellers and Archives, and I think that's what they needed to do. Have a bit of a fight against them. You know, they take that opportunity where they think, I see a gap here. I can walk in through square, straight up to the Teller's window and find some kills, and that's what Souffle did. Nice little lurk as well from the Dokkaebi. Must have came in from lobby, I assume, and just sits and waits for that, you know, the kind of help to try and come towards Furia, which I'm sure what the cast was trying to do was rotate in towards Tellers and assist his teammate, but he gets picked off, and then a 2v4, which, I mean, certainly I think the 4 and leaving the 4 and alive instead of just using the 10 openers was a bit of a question mark, but still, they were able to get the trade nonetheless. So Daystar, their attack going, but still need a few more if they want to secure this map.
And Souffle on the double, that position as well. I mean, the thing is, about that sort of engagement, we've seen Furia players win those multiple times throughout this tournament. You can never expect much from there. High energy, 5-4, still not opting for that conversation. They're happy to keep pressure on and keep sort of growing in towards it. Players, they've been close. Think about the 2 rounds we've had down on this side, right? 1, the planter in the off-play position gets it with 5 seconds left. It's a brilliant heads-up play from Furia, but it's close. 2, it was the 5 or the 4 versus 2 retake, or however it was, that they couldn't quite get together. It's just could have been them sitting on potentially a map 3. And remember, the bed gauntlet ahead of them. Daystar trying to survive isn't just on today. But if they can get a win here, then they don't have to beat Falcons. Pick your poison. The one with the Portuguese label or the one with the French label?
Portuguese at the moment. Unless Falcons can get things together. I mean, look at the lineup. A lot different compared to the last time they attacked this basement. See a Blitz come into play, the Scent's also there. Oh, JV. I mean, as simple as you like. I mean, he's opened up a hole, and straight away there's a head in it.
Yep. Joe is driven in towards open. They've got the terrain, but obviously JV has already gone since left, and nobody to find.
Yeah, you get the pick on this open area hold, and you just leave. You know, that's all we needed to get was the kill. You've still got the blue stairs. Philippox is over there with a Thorn shotgun, ready to rock and roll. I'm sure he'll be the next person in the hot seat. He's got a Goyo canister too to assist him with just, again, the inevitable time delay, but I would say there's a very strong likelihood Philippox either kills all 4 of them or he will die. That's typically how that hold goes.
Yeah, there's the Thorn Trap. He's going to pop the fire, and he's actually got more in his pocket as well. Puts them slightly spread out. The shield will have to go in, get caught, go back. He wants to bait this utility. That grenade will actually get rid of at least 1, maybe 2 of the Thorn, but he's just thrown another one out. Great use of this new op with her changes. Yeah, usually before you could try and charge past them. Thorn, let's be honest, wasn't really the worst problem. This grenade will force him either up the stairs or down. He's going to go up, he's going to go into a shield. They're going to try and get the cover, and they do. They do get it down in the meantime, but they swing the double pressure, though. The C4 from Nade. And Souffle. They can get Joe up. But it's a 3 versus 4 with 40 seconds.
They have the sense, but I don't think that's the main issue. It's the position of Hurge right now that they need to deal with. He's playing so aggressive on the hatch, but he's been taken out. Now they can maybe go for it. They still have the sense to cut off lines of sight. They need to make the punt happen.
Well, there's the sense, there's the roll, and what we're looking at is no C4 and nothing to stop it other than just trying to swing in, trying to get the bodies down. KZ is the long watch towards the default plant spot, and JV, well, he left open a long time ago, and he leaves it in a coffin. There's the plant, there's the cover, there's the hop, and there's the drop. Now with the last pick, the 1 versus 2, it's just the planter. He's spraying through, hoping, and he gets the down. It's the 1 versus 1. He's looking for the fight. He has to win it, and he does. Deal. Keep saving these rounds. This team, the grace, gifted.
I was worried because there's a moment where he was just kind of walking through the site, and I'm seeing the Goyo sprinting away. He needs to go and get him, and I'm actually surprised that the Goyo turned tail and tried to fight him. I thought he was just going to keep running until hopefully he could get to the safety of the armored truck. But no. Maybe he thought, look, it's a big old run I have to go for. This right here. I thought he was going to keep going, but maybe he thought he could have ran after. There's a lot of if-buts and maybes there.
Furia mentality. I'll win this. 5-5. They've been able to find themselves 2 attacks in a row. And remember, all 5 of Furia's rounds were the core. It's a burger currently built, but maybe they can make it a bit worse for wear. Furia still 2 rounds away from getting themselves the 2-0, getting themselves the win, getting themselves locked in to the top 2 of their group for those very important seeding positions that can come together. Daystar are fighting for survival. Unfortunately, a very different story for them. Is this too late of a fight? Is it just the group and they were in a very tough group? Or is there something else that they can deliver on? They've got themselves tied up. We're approaching up towards the top floor. They're not going to see if they can try and make that locker site. To be fair, pretty much every single round down there has been neck and neck. So it's a fair decision. Pull away. Wants the fight, but well aware that somebody was just above this position. It's the Kiba with, well, a fresh Kiba, because the previous had been pretty destroyed in this.
Precious Kiba.
Precious Kiba. I actually just left. Saw the Maestro bubble. Will this Flores drone get it? Probably, seeing as it got those 2 Kibas. And KZ, he can still juggle some utility, but I mean, Flores is gonna juggle for longer.
I mean, unless that wall gets opened up, he has no reason
get the
to
Maestro
move.
bubble.
That is surprising. I have to go for another one then. There we go.
Bye-bye.
It's fine. Still,
Just like
got there in the end. Souffle going to be utilizing the buck downstairs, but there's that guy again. Hazuki with another opening pick.
I mean, ever since All Chat kicked off, he's been on fire. It's one of those lessons taught time and time again. make the wall dangerous to go for a peek, and well, he loves danger. The Maestro actually gets aggressive, moves up towards this stock position as JV gets Joe.
Like I said, you do not need to move from this position if that wall is not open. Did he see the backpack? I don't think he did. He rotates off it. Now look, there is still the Aurora that we have to see used from Seal. I can only assume it's going to be used to cover off the windows, and then they're going to try and swing in off of it.
Well, there's the first used to get rid of that gate. There's the roll of the Sense gadget. Remember last time, the coordination of Furia was so locked in that even when they went for the entrance, there was always another body to trade, and they've actually pulled themselves back to a similar place. Philippox is inside stock. Nade is holding on to the top of the stairs, and well, JV and Hers, the eyes on the side. Well, JV does what Jay-Z does all the way from the back line, gets one, swaps himself over, and gets ready to get them on the swing in. But Bakanzu, he's behind the desk. He's going for the plant itself. He's buried right on the back, but Hers is about to make a friend. C4. Oh, he can't quite get it. Yes, he does. And there is the drop there. They've rotated around. Because they got the player on top square, it became free real estate. They've took it, they've enjoyed it, and now they've got themselves on map and series point.
Yeah, great point you made there about the player top square. You take him out, you no longer have the cover of having the safety that nobody can swing you from the kind of holes over towards the main breach. And that's where the C4 stemmed from. It was from that main breach. Look, obviously the idea is smoke everything out, use the sense. We see that work all the time. But all it takes is one C4. You know, that's the power of having that denial.
现在道具排不太好，好不好？我们把 Ash 拿出来，好不好？九狗，把 Ash 拿出来，然后一样，如果他们带陷阱的话，我们可以带 IQ、带 Twitch， 我们一个慢慢解，好不好？怎么样？我们做得很好的就是前面要先杀谁，一样，一起做，一起做，一起做 ，OK？ 我们这步骤都做得很好，然后一样压秒执行，我们现在压秒执行，他们解不太掉 ，OK？ 我们是打得赢的，好不好？一步一步慢慢来，就好了，来，保证。记得带 Ash 啊，你的道具记得换个贴布啊，如果1楼点的话。定了，好，就这样 ，Let's go。
Let's go. They just need one to get themselves in towards OT. Obviously, with how this has gone, it's been very balanced back and forth. The polar opposite of the first map we had, where there was only one attack round win across the entirety of regulation. Yes, the C4 you can see, as I said, herds that position on top square, just over the top. You know, and at this point, yeah, you've made yourself a little bit of a box, but unfortunately, everything around it is just a shooting gallery. Furia, they need one more round. Put this game, put this series, and put this map to bed. Back in the basement.
Look at the lineup. This is, it feels as though Fury just want to get it done now. You look at the operators, this is a little bit more like it. You have the Chanka, you have the smoke. They've dropped the Goyo. We've seen plenty of teams triple take the Goyo, the Chanka, and the smoke, but they think, oh, just the smoke with the Chanka should be fine. I mean, it is a fairly basic lineup. There's nothing here that's going to surprise Daystar. You look at what they've brought to play with. They have that sense, which gave them great value the last time they were here. You have the Glaz in as well as that main operator you can cover off and try and stop anyone swinging as you go in for that plant. But still, you're going to have to try and sweep the whole map. That open area hold is going to come in once more for Furia. Again, it's nothing too crazy. You just sit up there for a while and you think, well, that'll do us. And then you drop back to site, play the 5v5, and use the util that you have. As mentioned, was all the denial operators.
They've got themselves in open. Remember, it opened last time with JV92 getting a kill and getting himself dropped back down. Oh, we also had the round once where Bakanzu lost the kit on the top floor and, well, everything fell apart since then. They're going to trap that elevator player. See if they can get a kill before they are drifting away. We've also seen the same thing. Nade, though, on the Tachanka. We know what he can do. Oh, we know what KZ won't do, and that's slow things down, but Philippox. Who wins in a fight, a Glaz or a Warden, Demo?
Glaz.
Okay, well, not this time.
Well, he had to kill one beforehand. It's not his fault.
Okay, Philippox disagreed and decimates. There goes the Glaz. And Philippox, very importantly, even actually using a C4 quite early for it, levels things up.
Still got a player in blue stairs. It's going to be the mirror. So JV, looking to play his life. doesn't have really any util, I would say, to help him, because he did not bring a C4. He brought the proximity alarms in the mirror. He don't see that every day, but still, it's there. Just been able to rotate back into the bomb site, though, so they have forfeited full server control. That's probably because they've noticed the time. I mean, a minute left, and they're only just opening the hatch now. I mean, if you're Tachanka and you're Smoke, you're licking your lips, and you know what a feast we're about to have.
Yeah, that is going to be close to an impossible plant here. The Tachanka starts, and he's already bouncing the lineups around outside towards the breach on the wall, hoping to get somebody, but the work is being done. Get yourself the angle and make the swing dangerous. There's no C4, so they can't get the instant drops. They can juggle, but here's the roll of nothing currently. Actually, they're going to opt for something else. 30 seconds, though. And instead, they bounce it there. The coverage onto potentially the stairs, the rotate. Picking themselves up, the Smoke, ready to get himself locked and loaded. It's a grenade, forces the player slightly further back. They're ready, holding on, but 20 seconds, and still, look at that. 2 smoke canisters, 15 fires. Where are you going to go? They're going to expect either side, and they can cover absolutely everything. There's still that shield on that back line. The bait, the wait, and the play inside the fire. Azuki, he's not going to be able to tank that. Bakanzu is able to get ahead, but there's the trade out. 6 seconds. You've still got to operate the plant, and the kid itself, he's finally found a place to go. A 4 versus 1 Herds up on the vertical rotate. They will confirm this plant just in time, and now slips away, but he can't get anything more. Daystar, not done yet, Star. Could be the Star to finally shine a bit brighter than Furia.
Oh, great play from Daystar, realizing that we just cannot sit back and let the Tachanka and the Smoke punish us. We have to take the initiative. We have to drop the hatches. And they drop the hatches, and they win their engagements with confidence. It was very easy to stop the Smoke and the Tachanka doing their job if you kill them. And that's what they went for. They wanted to disrupt those operators. So a good heads-up play from Daystar has been able to secure it. That drop right there from Seal and Bakanzu hitting that bit of a backstab in for a garage was massive to assist the kind of planting team on the other side.
If they can push
He's
themselves.
dropped the Vamos, by the way.
He's dropped the Vamos, come! Surely that's a bingo square. Someone hits a Vamos.
Outside of Brazil, hits a Vamos.
Outside
Probably
of Brazil.
the best way to do it, isn't it?
There also isn't an on-air crew. Back down to the basement. Back down to lockers.
10
Back
seconds
down
left before insertion.
towards a place where maybe a story could be rewritten. Because let's think back. Right? Twice we had this in the 3 defense rounds that Daystar lost in the second half of their defense. Flawless opening to the opposite of a flawless end. And they think they can make it work this time because they weren't a million miles away, but they weren't wins. And that's that important thing. If those had been translated, the game would already be done. We would be looking at map 3. So instead, what have they got? They've got things to play into the zone. They've got this play above, but they've also got, oh, the first kill on Herds!
Same as last time. They've went by themselves, Furia. They haven't picked up their individual engagements. And Herds, once more, has left his team in a 4-5.
At this point, without the Grim, I mean, we said it before, you lose them. You've still got some Instigators. You've still got KZs having a great map. On towards that Deimos, and JV92 has a habit of picking up the kills when they need them the most. But they're waiting and holding on, and Azuki, where's he off to? Well, nowhere further as he gets droned out, and he's about to potentially get swung on, but they've got Goyo canisters in this position too. They can buy themselves some time. You talked about it was late getting the hatches open before, 1:40, and they've only just got down towards the lobby floor, and slip on by. We lost this engagement last time. They're threading a needle. But they've also got this player. There's someone not too far away inside Archives. Wants to try and get some support. Wants to try and get aggressive in on the beepers. Surely they hear it. They don't. They're covered. There's the swing because they get the player on the stairs instead. So they still opted for it. And there's KZ caught out. Felipox and Nate. This pair, all that's left, trying to catch somebody, but they leave. Why wouldn't they? They were being encircled and they somehow escaped a 4 versus 2. Well, to be fair, they've had this before, but the distance and the difference was the plant was down. That's the challenge right now for a Glaz and a Capitao against What is a lot of fire?
Another really strong showing from Daystar, and just the way that they can maneuver around this map and take their picks and take those engagements. I mean, a 2v4. It should be out of the realms of possibility with what's still on the board for the defense. Still got the Tachanka, the Goyos, the Flame, and everything. I mean, yeah, Seal, just have a pop. Why not? I mean, Nate, he's going to get the plan off. Looks as though he is.
He's going to get the plan off, but he's going to get out of there, and he has 2 bolts. But it's a 4 versus 1 with a sealed top blue hatch.
That's the kicker. Does not have the hatch. So he's basically trapped, and there's a player upstairs in kitchen making the approach towards blue.
They just have to operate as a team. They just have to draw focus away as a team and have the cover. And you can see them doing it. They're putting pressure. They're going for the audio, and they're just going to watch. They're just going to wait, and they're just going to win this round. Daystar, 1 round away. Another Vamos com and a 6-7. Demo's fuming. Somewhere Rob is grinding his teeth. But you know what? Somewhere, 14 or 15% of people that thought Daystar could win this map, they're on the edge of their seats. Because they are 1 round away, back on their attack. And over the past, what, 5 rounds, 4 of them have been Daystars.
Oh, Furia. We're in the lead. Now they're losing. Where do we go from here? Well, we're going to have the switch. Furia back in the defense, and look at the option that they've went for.
Okay.
All of the bomb sites available, and they have selected the open area.
This was the one that they lost. This was the first one they lost. After 5 rounds in a row, they lost open,
remaining.
and since then, Daystar's fortune has entirely flipped
5
around.
seconds left.
And Furia think, well, last time we were here, it flipped the coin one way. Why don't we try and flip it back? How are they going to do that? What's going to be the difference of application? Well, there was loose bodies that were picked up. They lost some of the control on the vertical.
Last time, the defense, they were pretty heavy in towards the mid-floor. They were looking at controlling tellers and archives and elevators. Now you look at the setup from Furia, it is a hefty hold in towards that top floor. They've got mirror windows, you have Azamis up here, Banshees, I'm sure, to stop any of the potential walks up the staircases. This is going to be quite a lot that Daystar have to try and move through. Look, they've still got an option, of course, to remove those mirror windows with an Ash or with a Twitch. And again, Herds goes down as the opening pick.
I mean, the opening pick has only gone in the favor of Furia 3 times. The entire map, they almost get the follow-through on towards KZ as well. He's lucky to survive, but survive he does. JV is the next to suffer damage. They're just being picked at, pulled at, and not pulled apart, though, because JV, as I said, well, as long as he's got 1 HP, Furia have a dream. Nade gets Pikanzu, and the balance has immediately shifted back over. They've been able to wrest that control. There goes your sledge. There goes a lot of your verticality, Demo.
Yeah, and really the only util that they have now left is probably going to be in the form of the Ash to remove those Kiba barriers, and that's the main issue. There's that kind of layered system here in this roam game. You have the mirror windows as the first layer, and then all of a sudden you look, oh dear, there's a lot of concrete that we have to move through.
Davey gets 1 more. Oh no, maybe people just shouldn't open all chat. They're going to try and find themselves background. It's a 4 versus 2. And the same way I said it on the previous round, we're probably going to see this one go the whole distance. Barbed wire. Sophia, calm down. It's not that bad. They get that opened up. Eyes on towards archives and try and cut this in half. They know they don't have the utility to go for a take on the verticality. If they can try and maybe get a pinch on a player being a bit aggressive on one of these sides, well, Furia realized that. They pulled back. 2 players inside the site itself. JV92 is watching the verticality. And I think somebody might have even... Oh yeah, no, 3 players even in the site. They've just locked it down, apart from JV, who's going to go for a fight and an engagement. He knows what he can do well, and that's all moments like that! Doesn't need to see, just needs to know that he's better than you. And now, a 4 versus 1 with 15 seconds, and he's still trying to at least find the exit onto JV. He does get the down and the confirm, but I think he's done enough that round. We are going all the way.
Yeah, better hold, isn't it, from Furia? The util, a lot to really take in, and I think they played it well, kind of using the layers, peeling off when they needed to. I mean, Daystar looked as though they were trying to really pinch the players inside of Janitor behind that mirror window. Did you notice that they had the setup where you had the Dokkaebi in towards Square, and then they doubled Sophia impacted both of the kind of Janitor walls to make that angle? But by the time that came in, there was already 2 kills that swung in favor of Furia, which meant that they could have left that position, and that's exactly what they did. So the attempt was there, but they lost bodies along the way, and then that played into the Furia strategy of, yes, play the util. If we get some kills, let's fall back, let's peel back, and we'll play the man advantage on site.
So, all down to this. We have even trades up to this point, and then suddenly 2 setups here, 2 lockdowns. We are up towards the top floor. This was won once and lost once by Daystar on their defense, and their loss on this was probably their most obvious, I think, in terms of that sort of 3 rounds that went away from them. A secret bandit.
Yeah, that's one thing that Furia, they will do on this top floor. They always like to bring that Habana. They love to bring that Habana, open up that cancel wall, and then play it. The bandit's been hidden. I mean, there hasn't been any showcase of the kind of electrification wanting to have that counterplay. And the only way that they're going to remove those bandits is going to be with nades, so they will have to rotate some players over to the side of lobby. So, look, I don't think it's going to be the end all and be all. I assume the wall will get opened up, but it just means that Fury have to do a little mini-game before they're ready to go for their actual game.
Herds is immediately being let in. Free Fire's the hope of catching the Azami. They want to try and lock this in earlier on, but the position he's in, if it's gone untested and uncontested, the Habana will make this.
That's good.
Yeah. Pretty tricky to hold on to. They'll have to peel back. There's pre-fires, and there's actually a pop around the corner.
So it looks as though it's just a full square take from Furia, not the typical strategy we see from them where they will open up that counter wall. So the counter strat of bringing in that bandit is going to be pretty useless. Furia not interested in it whatsoever. You look at what they have on board, they have the sense, so straight away your mind thinks, okay, they're just going to smoke out the site, swing it and plant. Yes, that's probably what they're going to go for, but as we know, before you go for that play, you need to secure control of Janitors.
Still getting their prep work done. You can see the Echo drone is trying to do the same thing. Picanzo has actually gone underneath. The bandit has gone on a bit of an adventure, and he's going to hope that he can maybe cause some problems up through the hatch itself. In the meantime, they'll do their best as the main wall is being breached open. The chance of the plant, they're being very obvious about what they're doing, but the problem is sort of like, okay, come contest us. JV might be about to. Picanzo might not know that he's being hunted, but JV might not know that he's already slipped away. A violent ring around the rosies. But this is the sort of game of it. If you know they're full square, well, you can do things like this. Oh! He lives for Leapbox. That'll give some warning. They've got to drop down. They've got to try and execute at the same time. Seal finds the opener on towards Herds. The first sense rod has gone out. They're going for the divide, the rotate round. JV with the kit cannot be caught by Picanzo. He's having a catch in waiting arms. There is one more that falls. Seal gets another for his Talia's nade. Finds at least the loose player, but 40 seconds. No kit in hand, and nade driving his way through, hoping this position could be one that nets him a kill. But Azuki and Joe are the dreamers for Daystar. And this roster that is on the brink of elimination has decided Hammerlifters, tournament favorites, are the ones that they're going to beat for their safety and sanctity.
Oh, Daystar, what a win. I mean, that defense again, it's those little added bits of aggression going after Furia when they least expect it.
They almost got there on the first map. They get there on the second, but our wonderful audience, this is decided in 3. So we're going to go to a break before we're back with the finale of this showdown.
Here's a phrase I never thought I'd say. Daystar took a map off Furia. Also, could have won map 1. This could have been done and dusted. I will say this map looked completely different from map 1. It wasn't just all the show on defense and then no gusto on attack.
Yeah, well, I'd like to say I'm omniscient, Rob. I like to say I can predict the future, but in reality, I'm actually so pleasantly surprised by Daystar and their reactions, because when they switched over to their attacks, it was looking like it was going to head very similarly to how Lair went, but they managed to find a way. They got closer together. They won the entry engagement, and most of all, they had the resolve to make the rounds work, just to, in those big moments, to control them, got it to overtime, and then got it done on their map pick. And now we go to a map 3, which I don't think anybody saw coming.
Yeah, I don't know if this is too much of a hot take. I mean, Furia arguably has the better players, the more proven players, but that being said, Daystar is the better team right now. I mean, we're seeing them autocorrect mistakes as the series goes on. They understood the success from Lair was playing slow, playing off of each other, making sure the trades count, and we said we needed to see that on their attacks on Bank. That's exactly what we saw. They started playing a lot more slow. They forced Furia to make mistakes, force Furia into uncomfortable positions because they understood Furia was going to go for fights, and that's where Daystar got the opening kills, as opposed to them just running in to get the opening kills. And you can see, I mean, 11 opening kills, only 3 opening deaths. Daystar is immensely improving as the series commences.
I think normally across the best of 3, especially when, and this is a big underdog against a big favorite for the tournament, whenever you see that, usually you see the favorite evolve into the tournament. And in fact, it was actually the underdog of Daystar that were evolving in. They were getting a big read onto Furia, and particularly on the side of the entry department. Herds, he is that Feast or Famine player. We highlighted him as the monster of yesterday, and then today, where specifically inside of this map, where he's gone 0-7 on the entry, and that's kind of what you get. You've got to take the rough with the smooth.
Yeah, it's the hot and cold. I mean, that's the position when you're playing flexible, and especially against a team like Daystar, where you have to slot in where you find the most success. Herds just wasn't able to connect on any positions with the front line or the back. He was always getting caught out, and it's really good reads by Daystar to understand where he's going to be matched out.
Do you think that there's an element that we take from map 1 and map 2? By the way, they are the real scores. If you were looking at that going, that doesn't look right, those are real scores with Daystar. With Cafe now, I mean, how much of what we've just talked about from, Lair and Bank, how much do we take into Cafe, or can this be considered a new map?
I mean, I don't think it's a new map. I think Daystar's slowly been improving. Of course, Furia has the element of they've been here before. They've come back before. They're not going to let a situation like this hold them down. But that being said, we talked about it in the map ban phase. If any map was going to favor Daystar, it wasn't map 3 in Cafe, just because we saw how good defensively they were on the trades, on playing slow. Cafe's a map that just implements that. You're able to stall it out, have the time against you, and the way Furia is playing right now, with struggling to find openings, playing very individualized, we're going to have to see, the Furia that we know and love.
Yeah.
What is he? What's he doing over there?
He's trying to G the tee up.
He's keeping the energy.
He is. And I will say, for those of you who are not... Right. He's getting the hand warmers.
Yeah. Right.
No. Let's chill. For those of you who don't know Harambe, he obviously led this team back in its early inception with Direwolves. He was one of the first players we ever had on APAC South interviews back on the day, and he was always trying to innovate. He was always trying to stay positive. With right now, it needs to happen.
How different are the vibes?
It's insane.
How different are the vibes between the two teams? Very serious faces on the looks, particularly on the coach of Igor for Furia. Yeah. And then Harambe, he's joking around with his team. He's having a lot of fun.
I mean, if you're Furia, you're in a position where you shouldn't be losing this in the first place. So, of course, you're going to be frustrated.
And the rise of Wildcard as well, in the context of the group, they want to be first place, they want to get the bye. That loss could actually be monumental for them. The fact that they've lost a map in a fixture they would expect to be 2-0.
The only thing I'm a little concerned about right now is Daystar starting on attack. They've had defense both sides here, Jack. Do you think that's going to be a problem for momentum?
Potentially. And the reason that I say potentially is obviously Lair, they couldn't attack for Toffee. They could not get it done. And then they get onto Bank and they manage to find a way, but only in the latter half. Cafe can be a very momentum-driven map, so if they start off on the back foot on attack, it could go wrong quite quickly.
Right, but we saw how good their attacks were, being slow, taking their time on Bank. Cafe is an even smaller map. Hopefully we'll see that too.
I'm here for APAC supremacy. That's all I care about right now. Fluke, Demo, what are you here for?
I am here for a third map. And I was one of the ones that believed we could get here. I think I was the only one. of the casters and the analysts and the host who believed we could get here. I mean, to be fair, it was almost done in 2 maps. There's more believers! I said it would happen, didn't I? Will it end here, though? That's the worry.
Well, it will end. Somebody's going to win this map.
Somebody's going to win. Somebody will win, and somebody, well, both of them are on to Dostoevsky. Well, somebody must win. Somebody must define themselves. Somebody might upset one of the big dogs. Otherwise, sometimes we might just get the result we sort of called on and statistics backed and other such things. One of those initial problems, as it was highlighted, is the fact that for the first time this series, Daystar will be opening on their attack. It's this strange position where, yeah, okay, Bank came back to the 3 versus 3, but the strong opener from Daystar and then building back in, there's different energies you've got to apply.
Yeah, I think the glaring thing that I picked up on straight away, just based on the scoreboard that was shown.
I love Neymar.
Good to know.
It was the gap.
It was the 0-7 opening kill stat for Herds.
Yep.
That is a massive issue. An 0-7 by... When was the last time we've seen an 0-7 for one player in opening kills and deaths? Didn't win a single entry engagement and was involved in 7 of them.
Especially when you were, coming into this, the highest rated player in the whole tournament. They were #1 statistically based on how good they were yesterday. And yet, that hasn't translated on towards today. But new map, new position, new place, new result. Who dis? Good for Daystar. Obviously, they ended themselves there, getting in the back and forth. It was full max OT. It was even halves. It was as back and forth a game as you could statistically like without it being just continually traded rounds.
Attackers are heading out to
They are
defuse the
always
bomb.
on that brink, that chance. And the chance starts with these bans. The limitation from Furia want to bring to this is no Ying, no calls. Makes sense on a map like Cafe, and especially against the isolation nature.
Especially whenever Dokkaebi was a big feature in that last map.
Yeah, exactly. It was something that Daystar used very, very well. Made sure that they could put the pressure on when they went for the swings. Made sure that they could sort of catch players out and get into the gun games with at least a step ahead of them this time. Not quite so lucky. Seems like they're going to pay attention towards the top floors. You've obviously got some of the stretch and some of the positioning, but it hasn't really been a super wide roam here. They don't really need to go for it. Does get a bite out of Felipox. This shows that they're sort of waiting, but the swing comes round from VIP, and, well, they don't need to go any further.
Minute gone. A lot of players in the building at the moment for the attackers. Seal with a big drop in through Skyline. Again, he's the Buck. He's going to be the main operator to do a lot of verticality work alongside that Ram. Already, he's thrown some of the drones in. And there we go. We've been rewarded with an easy kill. And the opening pick once more goes in favor of Daystar.
Just couldn't get the position. This round, Felipox was just being taken out from all the different angles. And well, a false start for him, but a great start here for Daystar. The Deimos will get his control, will get his lockdown. Here's the verticality. It's just going to force the space. You expect it. When you're not contesting this floor, you expect this to happen. And now it's just the positions around this opening and making those work. That gets open, so you get a bit more of the width when you're staring down on towards the, the coat check door in this power position.
So, obviously, Freezer is going to be their choice. As you can see, they're having a bit of an issue with an electrified hatch. Eventually, they're going to get it with the nade. Now, whenever we see teams try and go for the Freezer take, once they have got themselves in above and use the verticality, it's all about that man right there. We see just get pinged Herds inside of VIP. That's the danger man. He can stop them dropping the hatch. So, typically, a lot of util is going to be thrown Herds' way to stop him from doing so.
I mean, he was one of those sort of contenders. If we highlight how he was yesterday, he's always got the chance of turning it on. But JV, who's a contender in the last map, Pikanzu is the one currently holding on to the title, swings his way past and tears the head off them as they have to peel back and pull back to the side. Tracked by the Deimos, he's hoping he can get a kill, but he's blinded and pushed out. There's actually a drop from a Thorn Trap. Not sure if that was one of the bingo squares, but it's confirmed itself a kill.
10 seconds to go. They need to try and get the plant in, but this guy with the shotgun is going to be the issue.
Well, can they get one? They can. Can they drive any further? They're looking for it. They've got to get themselves in. There's the pickup, Pikanzu.
Did he need to peek that?
Probably not.
Did he need to peek that with a timer? I don't know. Need to get a VAR check, please.
We need more sideline reporting.
Can we get one of the admins to the monitor, please, to have a look at this?
We're still in these rounds. This is what I've loved about this series, is how close it keeps being, right? It's not that it is just one way or the other. Even when, that was beautiful, even when team is, you know, sort of getting control of the round.
I think a second point 3 was probably left. However, I did just notice Seal had the diffuser still, and he was inside the bomb site, so he could have planted it over towards the double window, beside where the rice bags are.
Daystar, open up. First attack is theirs. I made a mistake in the end of the previous. They're obviously not playing for elimination. I just forgot the team had already been eliminated.
Got that elevate been worse than them.
Yeah.
5 seconds.
That's a very positive outlook.
Listen,
You don't want anyone to be eliminated.
I don't.
Sadly, we have to keep it moving here. We need to find who's going to win this whole thing.
I'm the one with the sign that's like, I just want both teams to have a good time. And you're the one that tears my sign in half.
You're like, do you want both teams to win, both teams to lose?
Yeah. And that's where we meet in the middle. No, what they're playing for is seeding, and what they're playing for is obviously being in that upper bracket, being in that position of power.
Well, we heard that with the interview that Milos did with Felipox. It's still in their hands to finish first, and that's what they're aiming for.
Yeah.
They came in and said, yes, we're already through, but we want #1.
I'm not entirely sure on how things sort of operate in terms of picking opponents, as we've done in previous setups, and I'd have to talk to one of them rules heads about that. But otherwise, KZ talks to Azuki with a C4 and says bye-bye. Gets rid of him on the opening of this round, and no Lion. None of those are oppressive charges. And when you're thinking about what has been banned with the Dokkaebi and with the control of those loose players, we said how important it is, and how important it cannot be. Now you're looking at what is going to be that driving force. What's the instigator of this lineup for their entry?
Well, that's one thing that I think I've been surprised about with Daystar. A lot of the times the operators that they choose, they're not necessarily what would be considered meta. I mean, you know, where's your Grim? Like, Grim is up, and for a Cafe, he's so good, and just I'm not seeing on the board to be utilized, and it is such a surprise. Going to work their way through with nades if they can, but still, players upstairs, and we know that the way that Furia like to set up, where they're there ready for trades, and obviously has that formation, and here comes the utility dump. The nade is going to miss. As nades drop towards the other side of the cabinet, Philippe Box picks up one. Great swing, though, from Souffle. Gets him in towards Cocktail, but they're still at a man disadvantage.
Man disadvantage. Now they've also lost the IQ as well, so the worry of some of the gadgetries, which did pull a kill last time round, could pop their heads up again. Still going for the clear. They're hoping to try and get some of this verticality, force the pressure. They might be able to find another player before they go for the execute, just on the positional clarity, and that's down to Furia. How much they want to contest this, and how much, well, just keep themselves a bit further back. We do have KZ lurking, I think, just at the bottom of Brown's stairs, so he could pop up at a moment's notice, but Souffle slips in, drops one down, a 3 versus 3, and there's no immediate response. There needs to be a little bit of an activation phrase, and as I said, KZ laying in wait. Needs the right call because there's 25 seconds once again.
And no smokes left either. All of the util is gone for Furia, so Daystar just wait out the smoke and try and get the plant. Here we go!
On the move, combined with a swing from Felipox as well. Perfectly played and pieced together. And I mean, that's just Furia. Retake.
And that was great comms, I believe. Well, I don't speak Brazilian, nor am I... or Portuguese, sorry. Or am I in the team to hear it? But I could only assume that the call would have been, I'm out of smokes. We need to hit them now before they can start going for a plant.
And you have to also give credit there as well. They played the time. They played that 6th man in the roster. They made sure that they went, you know, I'm not just going to throw myself in. I'm waiting. We're waiting. We'll do it. It's 25. No, we can wait. 20. Great. Even when this pressure's coming through, it's just, you know, they went at 20 seconds. They combined themselves with that extra element of pressure, so there was even more confusion. And, hey, levels just back up, and we're going to stay on the mid-floor. I do wonder where we go after this, if we go back down towards kitchen or if we head towards the top floor.
Well, this map, all 4 bomb sites are viable. In every single one be defended. You know, pretty common occurrence across any time we see a cafe. Will say though, I think top floor is probably the least favored just because of the window gameplay, which can be pretty frustrating, I think, for a lot of defenders, especially if you don't have operators like Azami, like Clash available to yourself, which is what Furia have to deal with without those operators.
Attacker's objective is to defuse the bomb.
You see the pulse pit coming in though. JV. Let's see if he can gain some great information. This is a play that we've seen a lot from Fnatic inside of EML. If you remember, Sarks on the pulse was an absolute menace. The information he was able to gather, and you combo that with a hefty amount of C4s, and there's 3 of them on the side of Furia. You can have some pretty explosive gameplay.
Wondering where this first engagement might come together. As I said before, that opener has often sort of gone away from them, right? You're looking at that big missed moment of a game that really defined the middle map. And here, Daystar, sort of a one-up, one-down situation. If they can try and get that mentality of, well, things are falling away from you in the opener, just keep putting them into the 5 versus 4s. Or if Furia believe, well, maybe we're that problem, right? Maybe we keep giving them these engagements. Pay them a bit more respect and let them have to come into our weighted guns. Let them have to fall into a trap. That's twice C4.
And what did I say about the last round? Where's their Grim? Why are they not bringing the Grim? Well, there's the Grim, and he's dead straight away.
Joe does get JV92. There was a jump out attempted.
Where are you going?
He was out the window and off towards the next round. The thing is, as you said, no Grim, but also no Azuki, the MVP and the star player of the previous map.
Yeah, he's not having a great start, 0-3. Yet to get on the scoreboard. I mean, half the round gone. And again, not a lot happening for Daystar. They're just looking for these little gaps and these little openings, but Furia able to gather just a bit of comfort. I mean, like, there's not a lot going on. They can just sit in sight, sit in their hands. Still got the Solus there to provide a bit of information if you can spot some drones coming in, and they're still the Brava, so you can get some value out of that Solus.
Joe's obviously taking a fair chunk of damage here, so even the side of that impact can be pretty impactful. At this point, the C4's obviously gone, but they can slow some time with the Tubarão, and time has been a very precious resource between these two teams, waiting, hoping, but time. Again, it's that element that I said Furia play with very well. They're keeping themselves stationary. They're keeping themselves busy. They're saying, we know roughly what's going to happen, and at this point, it's the opponents that get a bit angsty. The Kanzu's going to try and get himself in close. He sort of gives a bit of the game away that he's coming. He's not being massively shy about it, but you can just do this. Swing in and ooh. Didn't expect it to entirely go that way, but neither did he. And here's the follow through, but Herds heard every single step and herds them to an early grave. Souffle finds one on the trade out, but 10 seconds left. No time, too slow. Too bad. 2-1.
Yeah, issue there for Daystar. Almost hoping that Fury is going to make a mistake. You look at the Brava downstairs, held that angle for a very long period of time, at least half the round. He was there just holding on, hoping that somebody would take a walk down white stairs. But Furia don't need to make that play because Daystar are not creating enough problems to force Furia into that play. Why does a player from Fury need to walk down the white stairs if nobody's on the window, nobody's going for a bait? Nothing's happening on the map. They're waiting for Furia to make mistakes, but you need to force the mistakes.
Yep.
This is Furia we're talking about.
I think that's it. It's a momentum that we've had on map 2 and map 1 that was very fast, it was very fluid, it was very aggressive from both teams. Unfortunately, Daystar, they're a little bit worried. There's a little bit of trepidation in their approach right now, and, well, it's leading to this. Not enough time to try and piece things together. They're hoping to get these little smart picks and smart plays, but Furia just aren't offering them to them.
No, I think finally the playstyles caught on to Furia, the pennies dropped in their head, light bulbs went on. And there is somebody else.
Unlike me, as I'm repeatedly told. At this point, you are looking at down towards kitchen again. You are looking at what was a site success for Daystar the first time round. It turned into a procedural elimination, but as I said, it felt a little bit odd. They were being caught Furia in off positions. They were being threatened from these places that maybe they didn't need to try and take those engagements, and surely they'll be a step ahead.
I think that Dokkaebi ban's big as well, isn't it? You know, I think that was also an element to Bank where that Dokkaebi call was, it helped those kind of lurkers, it helped the players who were waiting to make those plays.
Look at this, the post-IQ world as she comes through as the third ban, doubles down with the Mozzie and the Valkyrie. So much intel. Will absolutely devastate the approacher.
Yeah, I was going to mention this. You're going for the IQ ban. It means Valkyrie has to come into the swing of things. And yeah, for Philippok's going to get great value out of those cameras. Ready with the C4 lineup. He's up against the shield. I mean, again, I just think that they're missing more utility. Like, if we're trying to go for a big retake here, which is what they're setting up for, where's your Kapitan? You know, where's your Grim? Where's the operators that are going to make players move? All they've brought in is just a couple of grenades and some flashbangs. That's it. There's nothing to force players out of position.
So you have JV holding on to Wedding, going for the swing. They've got the player behind Bakery itself, but more of a catch and one more. No, yes, all the way. Can we get it? We can. And finally the wall will open up, but the impact doesn't quite hit the body that they want. But again, look at this stack. They have so many players. Another Wamai disc. And Herds wanting to go for a hop out.
They don't
are they just going to take it? They are, and they make a connection. The Upside Hound swinging gets the head of JV92. The flash is over the top of Bakery. They're seeing if they can just take this step by step. They know about the Valkyrie now. Close by, but Valkyrie knows about them. Swings round. They're going in between the mix of at least the two players on Bakery, and Nade refuses to leave because he can do things like that. Gets dropped, but with everybody around there dead, should be able to be recollected and will. The Wedding wall's still solid. They still have all the sort of structure. They also now have that vertical win. Furia were a brick wall.
Oh, that attack is... It's too basic to defend against. Like, the Wamai value, my word. Got everything. Like I said, you're not bringing in the operators to deal with that.
好，我们现在开始打的急一点，好不好？像我们刚刚那个大红一样，我们一样打急一点，一个一个东西慢慢解，然后资源代购，麻烦排资源。我们最后这2回合其实资源排的不是很好，好吧 ？Benji 都没排掉，然后分裂也排不掉。如果需要，一样 IQ 退取，把他们陷阱都垫一垫 ，OK？ 听得懂吗？然后大肥哥，你那个一侧啊。 你去开门开窗之后就可以不要再待了，我们去靠正面，去靠正面。如果我们中后期要转的话，我们再转，好不好？这样听得懂吗？好吧 ，easy easy easy guys。没 IQ。
Easy easy easy. Oi oi oi.
Well, it's not easy at the moment.
No,
because they're 3-1 down. And yeah, just again, too basic for Furia to defend against that. Didn't cause them really any problem. I mean, this was the only play, and you think, that's just a good shot, that's just good siege. But this was the mess. You know, the team play here from Philippok's and Nade, and we've talked about that support backline. They can gun as well as the other ones. They can, that's the thing. All the great teams in the world, everyone can have a moment, you know, and those two certainly can. It just happens to be that the other guys steal all the kills before they get the opportunity. It's not that they can't do it, it's just gets stolen from them.
I hate it when that happens. That's what happens to me and Tim as
now,
well.
That's
We are just like, you heard it first, Ace of Pyrite, we are just like Philippok's and Nade. Thank you, Demo. So, one of the things that I think that really defines Furia is their fearlessness. They will hold places, they will lock in positions, they will ensure that, well, they are assured. Previous maps, they've been a bit mobile, been a bit active, and been caught because of it, doing things like this. But hey, you're 3-1 up and you want to shake things after a timeout. But this time round on Cafe, where they've sort of built themselves these very solid holds, well, it's put too much pressure on Daystar, who are also quite good at swinging in, but they don't have the map momentum, the space working in their favor. KZ, Back on the stairs where we saw Herds obviously pull off a bit of a blinder before. Yes, the control of utility. We've seen them struggle. Obviously, when an IQ gets banned, you know kind of what's going to happen, and it's going to be utility. You're going to get Valk cams. You're going to get, as we saw, Mozzie Pest, the Echo drones as well. Ooh, just gets found out. Doesn't quite get the 90 cam.
3 drone operators as well being brought into the lineup, so they're really going to try and get as much information as possible and destroy that utility, as you mentioned. But they need to make something happen. They need to force mistakes here out Furia, and they didn't do that the last time. We've seen them here. They just kind of held angles and hoped that Furia would walk into them, but Furia, I mean, we can obviously see they've caught on to the playstyle of Daystar, and I mean, they're happy enough just to use their util. Ooh, that's a better play, though, from Joe, being able to pick up the kill onto JV. No trade. More importantly to note, Herd's not wanting to go back in for that engagement.
In the meantime, Souffle tried to find his way in towards the new Falcon, gets removed. Couldn't quite get himself any control there of the Christmas door, and instead, well, things get leveled up. And here, can the Valkyrie be that rebalance? Oh, they had an expectation the fight was coming and he couldn't quite win it out, but where else can you go? And Echo almost came to the saving grace, but look at this, 2 bodies. They know they need to keep the trade game going. The Echo's the lead in an entirely surrounded, brilliant play.
Yeah, great work. One guy by himself. Yes, he's been able to pick off full epochs, but the response is there. Use the Echo drone. You can see that nobody's with him. Nobody was there to assist that play that Bakanzu made. There's a C4 from KZ. Oh dear, Daystar now sitting the 2v3, and again, look at the time. Not a lot to work with.
Azuki has been killed by a C4 3 times throughout these games so far. And it's just, he cannot get in, and it's a big bullet hole. Bullet.
Are we in, where are we, 2020? What is this?
It's on the bullet hole. And now, just Joe left. They know exactly where he is. They just pre-fire the fight. Oh dear, oh dear. 4 rounds in a row here for Furia. They're currently sitting 4-1 up on their defense. As we said, it might be that sort of turn of the tournament, turn of the showdown, where they start having to start on their attack. The side where statistically in the showdown, they've been weaker before. Fortunately, those weaknesses are showing up again. Fury, in the meantime, if they get onto their attacks where, truth be told, they've also been struggling a little bit more today, well, they now have that boon of all those rounds already in their pocket. They have at least a guaranteed 4-2 half, but if it keeps going the way it's going, with the fact that the only round Daystar got was that opener, the 5-1 looks pretty likely.
Yeah, looking good for Fury at the moment. Just for Daystar, they're not getting the kills that they had previously. Look at Azuki. A torrent time. Considering where he was in the last map, he has not hit the ground running.
Seal as well.
Seal also yet to get a kill. I mean, JV's also in that same boat with them, but
yeah,
you look at KZ, 8 kills for him, full epochs and 6. Got other players stepping up big.
I think the problem is Seal and Azuki obviously missing. They were the 2 best players in the server on the last map. They were all over the game that they needed to be. Azuki was having a great first map as well. Seal was sort of middle of the table. But they've just been, as you said, locked out here. 0-9 for the superstar pairing when you sort of need them the most.
I think they might go for a bit of a reckless play. You look at what they have. They have a Blitz, they have a Finka, they have a Lion. Those are their kind of rush operators. And don't forget about the bomb site that we have. It's the bomb site with a straight single window jump in. So you can immediately get into the bomb site. And we've seen plenty of times Blitz just flood their way in through that window. So that could be the potential that they go for. Do keep in mind that Blitz is not the player with the diffuser. Instead, he's going to go towards the red stairs jump. And he's got himself in, but he's going to use it to try and get above and fight the roamers, I think.
They've gone for the fight up here. They've already got the support structure of the Finka trying to find the first. But look, they're gone. Left Furia. Like ghosts in the night, they've disappeared and they've just given them nothing to chase or to grab onto other than the threat of maybe more C4s landing on more of these players.
The only thing now they're missing, they've used both of the smoke grenades. Yep. They've got no other way of covering lines of sight. Yes, they've got a lot of nades, but getting value out of that's going to be a lot different compared to just throwing the smoke and planting in it. So that's the risk that they've went for. They used the smokes to get the Blitz in through red stairs. Whereas, let's be honest, he could have just dropped the red hatch and saved a lot of that. And somehow, where is he? What?
He's off. Up Brown.
He has went from one side of the map to the other, and he's seen no one.
He's places to be, and he might be about to find KZ.
He's got a restaurant booking. Where's he going?
He's off
Now
the
we're
wedding.
going. Now, why are we back at the start? Why are we back at the start?
He's about lap 2, mate. We're playing a racing game. He's about to find lap 2, but he's only got a minute to try and make this one piece together. KZ's still below. He's gone in. He's seen the first fight. If he gets caught out here, after everything, Seal takes some damage elsewhere as KZ's got him locked down. But now the Blitz is stuck. Stuck in a 1 versus 1 on a long-range firefight. The diffuser's changed hand. Now he's back upstairs. Now he's in the site. He made it, and he's up to the races. Gets one, but JV had already found his one in that same time. Look at them holding. They're going for the plant, but Philippe pops. He could just pop round the corner as Nate finds one. An easy sweep up, and now the kid is cold. They've lost control of the stairs themselves, and they're just looking down through openings, hoping to get a kill. But it's locked, mate. 20 seconds. You got to get a shift on. You're nowhere near the site. You're nowhere near your teammate, and you're nowhere near pulling this round out of, well, to be honest, a bag that's probably already closed, sealed, and has Furia's name on it. There's the hop over the top into the waiting gun of KZ, and now spraying, waiting. No, I want the kill on my own stats. Where are you, Souffle? Come here. Delicious, says Furia.
That's the most Scooby-Doo looking round I think we've had all event. He went from one side, he jumped in the window to start with, he used the smokes, he got up red, he was looking for roamers, they ran away. He then somehow ended over to the other side of the map. He's outside. You thought he was going in the restaurant, then he runs all the way around, up the balcony, jumps in the site, somehow got a kill in the mix of that.
Okay, let me just.
What did they do? Like,
I'm gonna take you back. I'm gonna take you back to you yesterday, where you're like, "I'm better than Savage on the Blitz. I'm a great Blitz player." Is this coming from you as a great Blitz player, or is this?
No, it's just what's he doing? It's like the reverse effect of a TARDIS. It's massive on the outside, but there's nothing going on inside.
Unfortunately, nothing going on is also Daystar's current score. 5 rounds in a row, once again for Furia. They pulled this off in the last map, and then Daystar were able to turn it on, but it was still all the way to the end. Here, well, in fairness, hey, it's me, Emmy, giving people a little bit more hope again. Daystar were 5-1 up against Furia on the first map, and then things changed. We know it's possible, but the difference is Furia are now the ones that just need to push 2 over the edge. They just need one of these sites to connect on their attack, and Cafe offers itself quite well to that.
10 seconds remaining.
Oh, Daystar. On the defense, which
5 seconds left.
It's
should
better.
be good for them, but just feel that Furia have worked their way
Locate a bomb.
into the game a lot better compared to previous times that we've seen them so far this series, where they're straight away going for the 5-1 in control. However, look at this from Daystar, not slowing down in the aggression. He's went for a spawn peek. He was able to down KZ. That's 8 HP straight off it, but he's double dipped. You never double dip.
Never double dip. Joe goes. And now KZ, he's well hurt, but he's got his 1 for the round, and he's 11-2 for the map. I mean, he is currently almost the reverse of Seal and Azuki put together. The worry is, if they're on a 5-1 to a 6-1, maybe this series that we wanted to be a big finale and a back and forth fades.
Really good intel there from the Pulse, seeing that 2 players are located on the rappel. Just gives that kind of heads up to Souffle. You may be dealing with 2 players instead of just the 1. And oh! Almost gets caught out. Oh, makes the dash across and drops the hatch. Now he will join some of the other defenders downstairs. Leaves Seal the only man upstairs in the bomb site.
He's just going to go for the run out C4. The Pulse has just found out nobody's there, and he's, well, tried to find a fight on the top floor. Herds, in the meantime, finds Souffle. And look, they're sort of watching and waiting. Azuki does find his first kill. Seal also finds his first. Finally. The 2 big players have found themselves an impact to level things up, but Nade make sure at least the man that was trapped in the core of the top floor is caught out. Now the site is theirs, so they're going to try and get the kit planted and find a safe place to posture, and that's on top of this. But Azuki, in the meantime, gets himself a kill underneath. No more C4s for this coverage, and it's going to turn into a bit of a gun swing. JV92 is worried about where to go, and they've got a minute, so why not try and close down on the kill? That's the confirmation, and that's that collapse. So 1 versus 2. The last one is underneath. He's going to have to rotate his way up white, which he will do, but
Already rotated.
so much time! Whoa, Biganzu! He baits the play. It's a pulse. He could go underneath and cause some trouble. We'll hear the plant. He's going to slip his way on by, but they seem to know Azuki was in this position, so maybe they got intel. Oh, it doesn't matter if they do or they do not, because JV92 only does one thing, and that is play brilliant Siege.
Oh, so close.
So close.
So close to hitting that kill. Wow. I mean, Furia, has to be said, though, good decision-making for how they were able to get into the bomb site. They seen there was jump outs downstairs. They knew about the pulse. As soon as the Cade showed himself also below, they knew there was one guy left. And what did they do? Flood that bomb site, get themselves out, and try and lock down the bomb site. Use the Capital, cover off the staircases. There was a little bit of hesitation because they just weren't entirely sure if people had gotten themselves back into the bomb site in time, and they just didn't know if they wanted to go for the plan.
I mean, gotta say, that was
Cracker.
Beautiful. This, though. Oh, if he had... It's like one of those moments where obviously he didn't know he would be that sort of visible. They're playing off of audio. If he had ADS, I feel the same. If he had ADS a split second before, he would have had the perfect lineup on him. And sometimes you get the cap over the hop of the stairs, and sometimes you get dropped from a planter pulling off moves like that. 6-1, Daystar must be perfect if they want the hope of pulling this into a win, if they want the hope of getting more than the commiseration points, and if they want a bit of an easier statistical time against Falcons for seeding purposes tomorrow. Either way, you also kind of want a bit more of a fight. Nade, we got some of the destruction done on whatever was behind the door, and then try and get the door open themselves. Laser gate will slow things down. Remember how aggressively this position had been held before. We obviously don't quite have the same MO. There's no MI, there's none of that sort of burn. You don't have the aggression from the Valkyrie. Instead, it's more of Daystar, right? You've got the option of a roam seal on the Vigil, seeing if they can find a friend up top, but no, just a precursory swing onto Herds, who heard that, but he's between two players, and they're going to actually go for the fight. Goes for one. Goes to try and bait out the second. Seal confirms Herds. Slips his way past in towards Wedding. There's a lot of damage being done, but look, isolates the Blackbeard. He's going to cook him alive. No, he can't, because JV shows up at the right possible time. KZ gets sealed. There's KZ inside the side itself. A 4 versus 2. And talking about being cooked, they are in that kitchen. They are waiting for a fight.
Look at the difference in the util dump. We've seen both the attacks from either side with going bakery direct. Look at the operators brought in to disrupt those players. And you can just explode in and take that control.
Planted kit is the attempt here, and they're drawing some focus. The slow creep forward from Azuki cannot connect with KZ. And it leaves just Souffle in the hopes of a win. But unfortunately, the only thing served up in this kitchen, it isn't Souffle, my friend. It's something Brazilian. And what a way for them to reassert themselves at the end of a very long series.
Yeah, that momentum that they had in that first half just really shone through, and just Daystar was not the map for them, just couldn't get into it. Very well deserved from Furia. Hard-fought victory. I mean, those first two maps really had us worried, but they get there in the end.
I think that's the main thing, right, about this team. They have always that possibility to turn it back on. They've got themselves now, I believe, secured in the top 2, but I'm going to say I believe because I got it so wrong last time. And it's just that energy that they can find. Daystar, for how brilliant they played in the first 2 maps, unfortunately, their journey is still one of fighting, but with what they did, well, who knows how far they can fight. We, however, we know where we're going.